Chapter 484. False Spiritual Body. Spiritual Body. False Earth Immortal. False Earth Immortal. Earth Immortal. The endless increase in spiritual energy caused Shui and company to be completely shocked. Old Shui, pinch me. I'm probably not awake yet, right? Stone reached his arm over. This was too unbelievable. They had always treated Yi Zichen as a false spiritual body, ascender. He really is an ascender? The pressure that only stopped after reaching the human immortal level caused Shui to lose his focus. I didn't expect such a master to be hiding around us. If I knew that he was a human immortal, then why would the Zhou family be afraid? No, wait, the woman who helped us chase away the Zhou family's son-in-law. Could the master she was talking about be him? The two men were shocked, but the woman beside them giggled. Human immortal? I actually didn't notice him. This guy is getting more and more interesting. Zhuemo squinted her eyes and smiled, while the smile on her face was like a blooming flower, causing others to be unable to help but look over. Hey, you're still saying that it wasn't you, Shuelon pouted. Her nose had already noticed everything. On the other hand, the guest chamberlains beside Luo Ji were completely stunned. A human immortal expert. That was someone who was able to enter the elders' seats in the Azure Sky Pavilion, and was even able to stand in the top 3. How could an expert of that level appear here? Luo Ji was also stunned, while terror and uneasiness filled his dark face. He retracted his hand and took a few steps back. Didn't you want to fight me just now? Where's your courage? Every time Luo Ji took a step back, Yi Zichen would take a step forward. When Luo Ji had nowhere else to go, he gulped and smiled apologetically. Senior, it's all because this brat failed to recognize Mount Tai. You have a big stomach, so just treat me like a fart and let me go. Shuelon silently shook her head when she saw Luo Ji's apologetic smile. Why did I believe the bullshit of someone like him back then? Why did she fall in love with him? Interesting. Senior, are you calling me? Yi Zichen smiled at the pale Luo Ji, then put his hands in his pockets. But you might not know, but I'm naturally petty. Dong. A kick landed on Luo Ji's chest, knocking him to the ground. The next moment, Yi Zichen stepped on him, smirked, and squatted down. Break off the engagement? Who gave you the guts to tell me? I'm telling you right now, if you retreat, it's also us who will retreat. Shuelon will divorce you. Fine, fine, fine. She divorced me. Shuelon divorced me. Luo Ji nodded frantically. Yi Zichen patted Luo Ji's cheek in satisfaction, then his warm smile instantly changed. The slap landed on Luo Ji's face, and the huge force caused his entire face to swell up. I don't need you to repeat what you owe me. I'm telling you, Hugh, you're not talking here. I want everyone in the Eastern Continent to know that you've made the girl break off the engagement. Don't go too far. I am an inner disciple of the Azure Sky Pavilion. My father-in-law is also a human immortal expert. I am not afraid of you. Luo Ji's expression changed drastically as he roared. It was one thing to be divorced here. It was one thing for him to be divorced here, but if everyone in the Eastern Continent knew about it, then he would really be criticized. Very domineering, but I don't like it. He raised his hand and slapped Luo Ji again. Then, he grabbed Luo Ji's collar and lifted him up. Perhaps you don't understand me too well. You said that I'm going too far just now, but the worst is yet to come. Not just you, but also your cheap wife and your sect. I'm going to make them lose all face. I don't want to listen to you blabber by my ear anymore. That's it. Dong. Yi Zichen punched Luo Ji's stomach, causing saliva and acid to flow out of his mouth. At the same time, Luo Ji fainted. Yi Zichen casually tossed Luo Ji onto the ground, then walked in front of the two guest chamberlains with his hands in his pockets. My lord, we were just following orders, but we didn't say anything bad to anyone here. My lord, please. The two guest chamberlains were cowards, so when they saw Yi Zichen walk over, they immediately trembled and didn't dare to speak too loudly. If you don't want to suffer, bring me to the Azure Sky Pavilion. No problem. It is our honor to lead the way for you. The foreign chamberlain nodded repeatedly. Yi Xueqi and company didn't know how to address Yi Zichen after finding out that he was a human immortal expert. Yi Zichen, who had already expected such a situation, shook his head with a smile. Just call me that like before. Otherwise, I feel rather awkward with you guys acting like this. Then alright. Why did you ask them to lead the way to the Azure Sky Pavilion? It's fine if you just want to teach Luoji a lesson, but the Azure Sky Pavilion is one of the 6 pavilions. They're not to be trifled with. Yes, Yezi. It's true that you are a worldly immortal expert, but the Azure Sky Pavilion's pavilion master is a worldly immortal great circle expert. The old pavilion master might have already broken through to the celestial immortal stage. If you go like this, you might not be able to reap any benefit. Stone was also trying to console him. Zichen-Gij, forget it. Xuelon also walked over, pouting and grabbing the corner of his shirt. She was already very grateful that Yi Zichen was willing to help her teach that scum a lesson. She felt like there was no need for her to go to a place like the Azure Sky Pavilion and provoke such a huge entity. I can't just let this go. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and snorted. If you want to cancel the engagement, then cancel it in a more lively manner. What's the point of making a small fuss here? Yi Zichen, the Azure Sky Pavilion isn't a place for you to mess around. Lil Yu frowned. I agree with Yi Zichen's point of view. At that moment, Zuemo walked over to Yi Zichen's side and sneered at Luoji, who was lying on the ground. Such a man should never be able to lift his head again. Annulling the engagement is just a little livelier. The Azure Sky Pavilion is just barely standing on the light of the 6 pavilions. Among the 6 pavilions, it is only at the bottom. Treasure Tower. The 2 guest chamberlains were stunned when they saw Zuemo walk out. They didn't notice that the little princess of the treasure tower was here. It seemed that the treasure tower's young miss was also here. They could no longer see any hope for the Azure Sky Pavilion. Do you want to leave right now? I can start arranging people right away. Zuemo turned around with a smile. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with a smile. Of course. I like men with charisma. You are not bad, Zuemo smiled, then took out a pager-like thing and pressed it a few times. Then, when he saw her look of affirmation, Yi Zichen picked up Luoji, then used his other hand to rub Xuelan's head. When he saw her look of affirmation, Yi Zichen picked up Luoji and rubbed Xuelan's head with his other hand. Chapter 485. Wreaking Havoc in the Azure Sky Pavilion. At the Azure Sky Pavilion. As one of the peak forces of the Eastern continent, the Azure Sky Pavilion, one of the 6 pavilions, naturally had a grand layout. The Azure Sky Pavilion was located at the peak of a towering mountain that reached into the clouds. The Earth Dragon carriage slowly stopped in front of the mountain gate, while the patrolling outer sect disciples also walked over. However, when they noticed that it was actually an Earth Dragon carriage, they did not dare to reveal an overly arrogant expression, and merely waited with their hands on their stomachs. This is the Azure Sky Pavilion? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows when he got off the dragon carriage. Back in the modern realm, he could only imagine what those peak forces were like through television or novels. Now that I've seen it today, it's just SOSO. Yi Zichen could not deny the strength of the Azure Sky Pavilion. Even though it was the weakest of the 6 pavilions, it still had its own foundation. Yi Zichen glanced at the layout of the mountain gate. It should be a mountain range that was forcefully cut in half by someone to set up the mountain gate. Only a normal person would be able to do that. I wonder what business do you have with the Azure Sky Pavilion? An outer sect disciple in a blue robe with black borders asked kindly. Earth dragons were extremely valuable carriages in the immortal region. Those who could use them to pull carriages were either rich or noble. Although they were disciples of the Azure Sky Pavilion, they were merely outer sect disciples, so they did not dare to offend such a noble person. "We're here to cause trouble," Yi Zichen smiled. While the outer sect disciples were stunned, he dragged Luoji, who had been beaten up like a dead dog, out of the carriage. Senior brother Luoji. At the same time, Zuemo and Xuelon also walked out of the dragon carriage. Xuelon. The outer sect disciple frowned, then quickly called out to his junior brother behind him. Hurry up and inform the guest elders. Those country bumpkins from the spiritual breeze village have come to cause trouble. The outer sect disciples hurriedly ran towards the mountain gate. However, a huge hand appeared out of nowhere and grabbed all of them. No need to inform, I like to prepare surprises for others. Bang bang bang. Yi Zichen pressed all of the outer sect disciples onto the ground. Then, he dragged Luoji onto the ground with his left hand, and rubbed Xuelan's head with his right. Are you scared? No. Xuelon shook her head and smiled. I'm not afraid of anything when I'm with Zichengage. No matter what happens later, don't lower your head. Big Brother Zichen will definitely help you cancel this engagement. Yi Zichen smiled, then slowly walked towards the entrance of the Azure Sky Pavilion. Before entering the mountain gate, he raised his head and looked at the 3 words, Azure Sky Pavilion, in front of the mountain gate. Azure Sky Pavilion, Pa. He punched the top of the huge stone pillar and walked into the mountain gate. The moment he left, the stone pillar rapidly cracked, and in the end, it collapsed and turned into a pile of rubble. Yi Zichen didn't know how many people he'd stepped on along the way. What was surprising was that he had been here for almost 10 minutes, but he hadn't even seen a single guest or elder. Who are you? How dare you cause trouble in my Azure Sky Pavilion? At this moment, a middle-aged man with triangular-shaped eyes appeared. He had a tuft of beard and wore a red Taoist robe. His black and white hair fluttered in the wind, giving him the air of an immortal. Ninth Elder, save me! Luoji had already woken up, but his spiritual energy had already been completely sealed by Yi Zichen, so he was no different from a normal person. He had been dragged all the way here, and his legs and feet had long been badly mutilated by the friction of the ground. His face was also completely pale, as if he was on the verge of death. Luoji. The triangular-eyed man was stunned, then set his gaze on Xuelon. How dare you? A mere spiritual breeze village actually dared to cause trouble in my Azure Sky Pavilion. Release Luoji, then kneel down and kowtow 300 times towards the entrance of the Azure Sky Pavilion. Then I can spare your life. Boom. Powerful spiritual energy was released from the triangular-eyed man's body, causing the spiritual energy in the air to become heavier under his control. Xuelon was not strong, so her face turned pale the moment the man released his pressure. Yi Zichen patted her shoulder softly when he noticed that, then transferred a wave of pure spiritual energy into her body. At the same time, an invisible barrier of light also covered her. Brat, why aren't you kneeling down? The triangular-eyed man frowned. Yi Zichen slowly looked up and revealed a faint smile. Bang bang bang. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, no one knew what had happened in between. The surrounding outer sect disciples only saw Yi Zichen still appear where the triangular-eyed man was when they came back to their senses. As for the cocky triangular-eyed man, Yi Zichen stepped on him, causing him to be unable to move. Lousy can't be bothered with a small fry like you, Yi Zichen mocked. Then, he kicked the triangular-eyed man 10-odd meters away. A large mouthful of blood flowed out of his mouth, while deep wariness appeared in his eyes. Human immortal. As the 9th Elder of the Azure Sky Pavilion, his strength had already reached the level of a late-stage Earth immortal. The fact that Yi Zichen was able to defeat him without him being able to fight back at all could only mean that the person in front of him had already stepped into the human immortal level. However, he could not understand why the person in front of him was actually so young. Don't just stand there and watch. Go and inform all the people in charge of the Azure Sky Pavilion. Tell them that someone from the Spiritual Breeze Village has come to cancel the engagement. With that, Yi Zichen stood proudly within the Azure Sky Pavilion's mountain gate, without saying anything else. First Elder, not good. An exclamation sounded out from outside the room filled with the smell of candles, while an impatient curse sounded out from within the room. Not long later, a square-faced elder with messy clothes walked out, while his forehead was covered in sweat. What's not good? The first elder cursed with a frown as he buttoned up his shirt. At the same time, the figure of a woman could be seen walking back and forth in his room. Not long later, a young woman walked out of the room. Daddy, since you have other things to deal with, then I'll be going back. That guy Luoji might come back later. Go. The first elder nodded with a smile. The woman combed her hair and left the room, causing the disciple who came to report to feel disdain. Anyone could guess what had just happened. Don't mention what you saw today to anyone, understand? This disciple understands. The Azure Sky Pavilion disciple quickly nodded. Tell me what happened. Why are you in such a panic? You should know what the consequences are if you come and find me for some trivial matter. The first elder snorted darkly. The Azure Sky Pavilion disciple gulped, then replied. Chapter 486. Ruan Qingtian, as expected of the weakest of the 6 pavilions. They don't even have the most basic protective mountain formation. Zuomo pursed her lips. Clearly, a faction like this shouldn't even be considered a faction in her eyes. Especially when she said the word worthy, it could be said that she had used sarcasm to the extreme. The area was already surrounded by Azure Sky Pavilion disciples, but this group of people could only watch from a distance. The strongest among them was only a false earth immortal. Didn't they see how the elders were beaten up? If they were to go over, they would be asking for a beating. TSK, someone's here. Yi Zichen, who was stepping on Luoji, smiled. When he looked up, he saw a round-faced man fly over. Great Elder! The surrounding disciples all bowed. Hearing that, Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and snorted. Great Elder, doesn't that mean you're this kid's cheap father-in-law? Who are you? How dare you cause trouble in my Azure Sky Pavilion? The first elder scolded coldly. Yi Zichen raised his hand and picked his ear, then shrugged. Don't say that to me. I already beat anyone who said that to me just now into a dead dog. At this moment, the sallow-faced 9th elder moved closer and whispered a few words into the first elder's ear. The first elder's expression changed dramatically. Then he looked at Yi Zichen with shining eyes. Are you sure this young man is a human immortal? The first elder asked in disbelief. The 9th elder smiled sheepishly. To be able to injure me like this before I could even react, do you think he's a human immortal? As the 2 elders conversed, Yi Zichen continuously stretched his neck, then squinted his eyes and smiled. Are you done chatting? There's still plenty of time for you to chat. Why don't we solve the problem on my side first? Kid, don't be too arrogant. The great elder raised his head and scolded. This is the Azure Sky Pavilion. If you are a dragon, you have to coil up. If you are a tiger, you have to crouch down. Breaking off the engagement? Humph, you deliberately chose this place. Are you trying to embarrass my Azure Sky Pavilion? Smart. Yi Zichen chuckled, then stepped on Luoji. Actually, I didn't want to, but you can only blame yourselves for going too far. Do you really think that the people of our spiritual breeze village are easy to bully? It's fine if it's someone else, but you guys are unlucky to have met me. Don't you guys like to break off the engagement? Let's play it big. Whoosh. A divorce certificate flew out from Yi Zichen's arms, then froze in midair. I would like to solemnly announce that my sister, Xuelan, has divorced Luoji. Also, your daughter just picked up the trash that my sister didn't want. I dare you to say it again. Suddenly, a sharp and angry rebuke sounded from behind them. The surrounding disciples subconsciously made way for her. Only then did they see a woman with a flirtatious expression walk out from the back. Who did you say picked up trash? You. Although Yi Zichen didn't know who Luoji's wife was, He could tell from her intense tone that she was most likely his wife. "You said I picked up this little slut's trash, really, Pa?" Before the woman could finish, she was slapped on the face. "Did you eat shit in the morning? Why is your mouth so smelly? Little slut, try saying it again if you have the guts." Yizichin stared at her with a dark expression. The woman gulped, then walked in front of the first elder and shook his arm. "Dad? Brat, no one can protect you if you want to die." The first elder glared. From the looks of it, he seemed like he was going to fight Yizichin. "Geezer, it's best if you don't fight. Otherwise, I'm afraid that you'll be beaten until you lose your dignity." Yizichin smiled. The first elder also smiled. "Then I'm going to try. Then I'm going to try." Yizichin's hands turned into tiger claws and instantly arrived. However, just as he was about to attack, Yizichin raised his eyebrows and smiled. Bang! All of a sudden, the first elder's body flew backwards. Yizichin also took the chance and squinted his eyes with a smile. Freeze! The first elder, who was sent flying, froze in midair just like that. "I told you already. Don't move, don't move. Look at how disobedient you are. Listen to people's advice and eat your fill. Old brat, you don't listen either." At that moment, the first elder no longer had the time to care about his face. There was only one thought in his mind, an expert. At the same time, the body freezing art's duration ended. The first elder quickly stood up after falling onto the ground. When he looked forward, he saw a bearded man standing beside Yizichin. "Layli!" The first elder was shocked. Why would someone from the treasure tower appear here? Could this brat be someone from the treasure tower? Just as he was thinking about it, he suddenly noticed Zhuemo, who was beside him. "Treasure tower, do you want to start a war?" The first elder raised his eyebrows and scolded. Zhuemo walked forward with a smile and shrugged. "We, the treasure tower, have always done business. Since this sir hired us with sincerity, then we naturally have to serve him. But what you said just now was rather interesting. Start a war? Is the Azure Sky Pavilion worthy? Is the Azure Sky Pavilion worthy?" That single sentence completely displayed Zhuemo's confidence and dominance. At the same time, the Azure Sky Pavilion's first elder also made her speechless. Although the treasure tower was a business, it had a huge amount of capital and resources, causing it to be far more powerful than any of the peak powers. The Azure Sky Pavilion was merely the weakest of the 6 pavilions. To be honest, war? They really weren't worthy. Young lady Zhua, you are right. We, the Azure Sky Pavilion, are indeed not worthy of fighting with the treasure tower. However, you should know that those with nothing to lose aren't afraid of those with shoes. If you truly force us into a corner, I feel like our final struggle will definitely hurt the treasure tower a bit. A young man with a light smile on his face slowly descended from the sky. No one would have thought that he would. He was the Azure Sky Pavilion's pavilion master, Ruan Qingtian. Ruan Qingtian could be considered as a miracle child outside of the sacred land of the immortal region. He trained his body at the age of 3, entered the spiritual realm at the age of 7, reached the earth immortal level at the age of 12, and reached the human immortal level at the age of 23. It could be said that his growth was so dazzling that no one could ignore it. Ruan Qingtian, you're the only one in the Azure Sky Pavilion who is worthy of my attention, Zhuemo smiled. But I don't like it when people threaten me. It is my, Ruan Qingtian's, honor to be worthy of your attention, but you seem to have misunderstood me. I'm not threatening you, I merely want to protect myself. With that, he looked at Yizichin and smiled warmly. Don't worry. Chapter 487. Deal with. Everyone thought that Yizichin would just let it go since the 6 pavilion heads used a questioning tone. What can you do to me if I say no? Yizichin smiled. I can't do anything to you. Lady Zhuemo is here, and I can't do anything to you with your strength. Ruan Qingtian smiled warmly. Ruan Qingtian smiled warmly and raised his brows. But the reason you're doing this is to help this girl cancel the engagement. Then I'll satisfy your request. After you leave, I'll announce to the public that this girl divorced an inner disciple of the Azure Sky Pavilion. You should be satisfied now, right? Not bad. Yi Zichen pursed his lips with a smile, then nodded towards Ruan Qingtian. Then I wonder if you can stop? Xuelon, are you satisfied? Yi Zichen turned around. Xuelon was momentarily stunned, then nodded with a smile. Let's do that. All right. Yi Zichen patted Luoji's head, then kicked Luoji in front of Ruan Qingtian without saying anything else, then turned around to leave. The moment they left, Zuemo also smiled, then took out a jade tablet and chucked it into the air. The jade slip instantly turned into a projection and played a scene. The people in this scene were the Great Elder and Luoji's wife. Straighten out your relationship. You father and daughter are really close. Whoosh. The first elder and his daughter's faces instantly turned pale. Luoji opened his eyes wide when he saw that. Ruan Qingtian, if you want to keep your position as one of the 6 pavilion heads, then keep your eyes open. Don't just put anyone into the elder seat. Do you need me to give you some more information? Of course, you need to buy it with Celeste. Zuemo smiled. Ruan Qingtian shook his head with a smile. Never mind, Ruan Qingtian, can't take out that much money. Thank you for your reminder, Lady Zua. I will deal with it later. All right, I thought I could get a big deal from you. Zuemo shrugged, then chased after Yi Zichen. Ruan Qingtian stood on the spot with a smile, then looked at Yi Zichen's back with a meaningful smile. Ruan Qingtian watched them leave, then turned around. The Great Elder hurriedly crawled behind him, only to hear the other parties in different laughter. Take the first elder and Luoji to treat their injuries. After they recover, they will be expelled from the Azure Sky Pavilion, never to be employed again. Announce to the public that inner disciple Luoji has been annulled by Spirit Breeze Village's Xuelon, the first female annulled man in the entire history of the Eastern continent. I never thought that he would appear in our Azure Sky Pavilion, seriously. Pavilion Master! The Great Elder and the others kept shouting from behind, but Ruan Qingtian floated away as if he didn't hear them. After returning to the Longevity Garden where the Spiritual Breeze Village was located, the villagers all gathered together to discuss something. When they saw Xuelon and the others return, everyone gathered around. Xiaolan, let's cancel the engagement. A woman withdrawing from a man. You're the first one since ancient times. From everyone's tone, it wasn't hard to tell that they already knew that Xuelon had successfully broken off the engagement. Yi Zichen did not expect that the news would spread so quickly after he returned from the Azure Sky Pavilion. Yo, you're back. Amazing. You actually went to the Azure Sky Pavilion to cancel the engagement. I heard that you even destroyed someone's sect? At that moment, Stone also walked out with a chuckle. Naturally, Xueqi was by his side. Compared to Stone's boorishness, Xueqi treated Yi Zichen differently. You've worked hard. It's all right, Yi Zichen smiled. At that moment, Stone also raised his eyebrows toward Xuelon. Your Zichenji helped you cancel the engagement. Ziz, this is the first time a woman has ever annulled a man. How is it? Tell your Zichenji Stone how you feel. I don't know. Xuelon pouted. Stone immediately raised his eyebrows with a smile. You're still hiding it from your Zichenji? You're still hiding it from your brother Shirtu. You must be so happy. No way. Xuelon rolled her eyes, then ran towards his room. Yi Zichen glanced at Zuemo, who was smiling silently, then turned toward Stone and company. I still have some things to discuss with her. Let's talk about it when we get back. Go on, go on. Xueqi nodded. Yi Zichen shook his head with a sigh when he saw Xueqi's unfamiliarity, then left the manor with Zuemo without saying anything else. What? How are you going to get along with them in the future? Zuemo squinted her eyes and smiled as she pressed down on Yi Zichen, who was sitting opposite her with a troubled look. Sort of, Yi Zichen nodded. Everything had been fine, but ever since he revealed that he was a human immortal, aside from Stone, everyone else's gaze towards him seemed to have changed. That's very normal. The only reason they treat you differently is because of their living environment, Zhuo-Mo smiled. In the future, you will notice that geniuses will always be surrounded by geniuses, and experts will always be surrounded by experts. You are not from the same world as them. Why do I feel like you're trying to rope me in? Yi Zichen looked up at her cautiously. You noticed that? Amazing, Zhuo-Mo praised with a smile. But that's normal, right? You're such a young human immortal, and you have a pill refiner backing you. You are worth me roping you in. Perhaps, Yi Zichen shrugged with a smile. Yi Zichen shrugged with a smile, then raised his eyebrows. I didn't think that the Azure Sky Pavilion would actually release the news so quickly. That brat is a trustworthy person. Ruan Qintian, this person is not normal. Zhuo-Mo's expression suddenly turned solemn. Zhuo-Mo's expression suddenly turned solemn. For her to say that someone was extraordinary, it was a very high evaluation of that person. What's more, when Zhuo-Mo noticed Zhuo-Mo's expression and recalled his style of doing things, he is indeed not like normal people. He's the kind of person that doesn't fight for anything, and doesn't have too much ambition, but since he was able to inherit the position of pavilion head, he naturally has his own strengths. But at least, I haven't found out what his strengths are. You might have found out if you two got married, Yi Zichen smiled playfully. Hearing that, Zhuo-Mo did not get angry, and instead kicked the ball back to Yi Zichen. Compared to him, I'm more interested in knowing what your strengths are. This woman, I was clearly the one who initiated the attack, but she was actually able to completely nullify my attack without harming me, and even mocked me in return. Yi Zichen quickly took out a jade bottle and placed it on the table, then crossed his arms. Here, 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 here. This is your reward. Take it and leave. Chapter 488. An acquaintance. Yi Zichen was the only one left in the room after Zhuo-Mo left. He took out his phone and placed it flat on the table, resting his chin on his hand. It's all settled. Ding dong. As soon as he finished speaking, the phone on the table rang. At the same time, a system notification appeared on the screen. System notification. Not bad. You've handled it well. It looks like it won't be long before the entire Eastern continent knows of your existence. Are you sure they'll come after me if I do this? Actually, part of the reason why Yi Zichen went to wreak havoc in the Azure Sky Pavilion was for his own sake. After he ascended, he was separated from the others. If he wanted to find them one by one in this vast sea of people, not only would it not be efficient, but it would also be too low. No matter what, the Azure Sky Pavilion was still considered a peak force. He had wreaked havoc in the Azure Sky Pavilion. Those people would probably ask about his whereabouts and come looking for him. System notification. At the very least, it's much easier to find you than when you're unknown. That's true. Yi Zichen smiled, while another system notification popped up. System notification. Don't think too much about it. No matter what happens, the Fortune General beside you will always be by your side. However, your actions this time will also attract a lot of trouble for you, so you need to pay attention to this. Yi Zichen had already thought about this before. However, he was already a troublesome person. If he was afraid that someone would come looking for trouble, then he might as well let the system kill him. He put the phone back into his pocket and was about to leave the restaurant. A slender woman in a white floral dress came up to him. Looking for me? Yi Zichen looked around, but didn't see anyone else around him. Didn't you tell me to come and find you? Why do you look so surprised? Do you think I can eat you? The way the woman spoke was completely different from her image. Yi Zichen looked at her in shock for a long time. Stone fairy? Shoo. The woman immediately covered his mouth and said, What fairy stone? I'm now called Fairy Blue Lotus. To put it bluntly, she was still the stone fairy. The two of them strolled along the street. She was a fairy from the heavenly court, and coupled with her good figure and looks, many men would look at her. However, Yi Zichen, who was chatting with her, didn't think so much. This fairy is seriously. What did you say? I'm going to be a makeup teacher for those fairies? Don't joke around. I have so many appointments every day. How can I make time? As soon as she opened her mouth, the taste of corn stubble in the fairy's mouth would come out. Yi Zichen couldn't help but facepalm and sigh. At that moment, 3 or 4 vulgar-looking men surrounded them. Beauty, are you interested in playing with us? Seeing this, Yi Zichen couldn't help but feel speechless. You can really meet such people everywhere. If they were in the modern world, wouldn't they be hooligans? However, ignoring whether or not Yi Zichen would help, the Blue Lotus Fairy was already at the sky immortal level, something that only the spiritual bodies like them could barely reach. They must be beaten senseless. Who would have thought that Fairy Blue Lotus wouldn't immediately attack? She put on the look of a frightened girl and looked at the people around her for help. Is there anyone coming? There are bad people here. The surrounding people wanted to go and help, but when they saw the 4 people, they all trembled and did not go up. These people were famous for being bad in the city, and were nicknamed the 4 Big Baddies. They weren't that strong, but they had people backing them up. The biggest bandit leader outside the city was their boss, and they did all sorts of evil. Hey Beauty, don't be afraid. We're not bad people. The several men thought that Fairy Blue Lotus was frightened. They grinned, revealing their yellow teeth as they moved forwards. At the same time, they snorted towards Yi Zichen with a frown. Grandson, don't interrupt this lord's business. F***ck off. F***ck, Laonyang isn't charming enough. No one came to help when I shouted like this. The immortal region isn't good either. Why are they raising a bunch of cowards? At that moment, Fairy Blue Lotus cursed angrily. She lifted her hand and tore the corner of her skirt, revealing her white and tender leg, which she directly kicked towards the 4 big baddies' green glowing faces. If you want to hit on Laonyang, then at least brush your yellow teeth a bit wider, okay? This sudden turn of events caused the surrounding people to be completely shocked. Yi Zichen also gulped. No wonder she's a woman who can arm wrestle with Yang Jian. She's a female Tyrannosaurus. You're so young, yet you don't learn good things. You want to take advantage of good women on the street. It's your bad luck to bump into Laonyang. Just treat it as Laonyang punishing evil. Crack. After breaking the men's legs with a few kicks, Fairy Blue Lotus grabbed the collar of one of them. A Kabuta super shoulder throw threw that person more than 10 meters away. None of the other people were spared. They were all thrown out by her. You actually dare to bully my yellow hair bro's little brother. Who is it? State your name. An angry shout suddenly sounded out behind her. Fairy Blue Lotus squinted her eyes, rubbed her nose, and tilted her head. It's Laonyang who did it. Little stick, what do you want to do? However, when the young man saw Fairy Blue Lotus, he suddenly put on an excited expression. He quickly ran over, causing Fairy Blue Lotus to think that he wanted to attack. Crack. She dislocated Yellow Hair's arm with a tendon dislocation hand, then kicked him onto the ground. You want to fight Laonyang? Heh, ouch, 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 ouch. Yellow Hair bared his teeth and shouted. We're on the same side. Sis, don't attack. We're on the same side. Who's on the same side as you? Laonyang has never seen you before. Fairy Blue Lotus frowned. Blue Lotus Fairy frowned, while Yellow Hair also shouted towards Yi Zichen. Boss! That caused Fairy Blue Lotus to be shocked. She glanced at Yi Zichen in shock and raised her eyebrows. You know him? I don't think so, Yi Zichen said in confusion. Hearing that, Yellow Hair quickly spoke up. Boss, it's me. Super Saiyan Transform. Yi Zichen instantly remembered who he was when he heard the word Super Saiyan. But why did this brat run over here? From the looks of it, he seems to have the strength of a false Earth immortal. Let him go, I know this brat. Crack. Hearing that, Fairy Blue Lotus quickly put the brat's arm back on. Then, Yellow Hair stumbled to his feet and burrowed into Yi Zichen's arms, while crying with snot and tears. Boss, I finally found my family. Just F** King cry, but don't wipe your snot on Laonyang. Yi Zichen raised his hand to push the brat out, but the brat ignored him and continued to do whatever he wanted. Chapter 489. White Jade Pendant Yellow Hair, who forcefully endured Blue Lotus Fairy's caress, finally became obedient. He followed behind Yi Zichen and Stone Fairy with a smile. As for the lackeys that were hit, according to him, since they found the organization, then who cares about them anymore? Blue Lotus, only you are qualified to be the makeup teacher. Of course, you aren't doing it for free. Let's split the income 60-40, what do you think? Yi Zichen had instilled plenty of brainwashing ideas into Blue Lotus Fairy's head. If she still didn't agree, then there was nothing he could do. 50-50. Blue Lotus Fairy raised her eyebrows. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes with a smile. Deal? You can get the funds for the makeup school from Yu Lao. If it develops well in the future, then you will be the dean. I really didn't expect you to be in contact with that geezer. There are a lot more that you didn't expect, Yi Zichen smiled. Blue Lotus Fairy also smiled. All right, then pay a visit to the Heavenly Court when you have time. I do want to see just how complicated your connections there are. No problem. Blue Lotus Fairy floated away. The main reason why the deities were in such a hurry to come and go was because this place was in the immortal region. The people of the Heavenly Court would definitely be monitored by the sacred land of the immortal region. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, they couldn't stay for too long. Boss, what are you talking about with that beauty? Yu Lao, the Heavenly Court, are they deities? Yi Zichen nearly forgot that he had this Ahog beside him. But since he came to the Three Realms, then it's fine for him to understand the situation here. I'm just worried that he won't be able to understand with his intelligence. Deities, Yellow Hair replied plainly. The Yellow Hair nodded in realization. If that's the case, then boss, since you know Yu Lao, why don't you open a matchmaking agency? Isn't he in charge of marriage? Oh wow, not bad, kid. You changed your mind pretty quickly. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and praised with a smile. He had never thought about that before. Boss, you're too kind. Blondie grinned like an idiot. He then asked cautiously, Boss, is this planet Namek? I've seen a lot of people with superpowers in the past few days. Is it because my actions on Earth were approved by the higher-ups, so they sent me here as well? But it's strange. I've been here for so long. Why hasn't anyone come looking for me? Am I on the payroll or not? Do I have insurance and housing funds? Also, it's a little different from when we watched Dragon Ball. Should I say, as expected of you? Yi Zichen couldn't help but shake his head with a wry smile. It was truly a miracle that someone with such an IQ could survive in this place for so long. However, this was normal. Most people would not rashly become enemies with him after sensing his false earth immortal strength. How could she explain it to him so that he would understand? This is not planet Namek. This is a planet that has just been developed. Since you helped me defeat the androids on Earth, the higher-ups are very satisfied with you. I've decided to let you come here for follow-up observation. Whoosh. Blondie's expression instantly turned solemn. He clenched his right fist and smacked his chest a few times. I'm willing to accept the organization's second observation. I'm willing to sacrifice myself for the organization for the Super Scion family. Ahem, Yi Zichen patted Blondie's shoulder with a gratified expression. Sure. I'll put in more good words for you when I get to the organization in the future. Thank you, boss, for your care and love. I definitely won't disappoint, boss. May the Super Scion family be eternal. Blondie's face was filled with solemnity. Yi Zichen couldn't help but ask himself when he saw Blondie's inviolable look. Is it really okay to lie to this fanatic? Yi Zichen scratched his eyebrows and raised his eyebrows. Oh yeah, how did you get here? I was sleeping. When I woke up, I was already here. Blondie scratched his head. Blondie scratched his head and said, When I was sleeping, Someone told me to follow someone, and he said that I was some kind of general. I might have watched too many period dramas. Either way, I was already here when I woke up. Xian Yuan's sword on Yi Zichen's arm suddenly started to tremble intensely when Blondie told him about his encounter. Not long after, Xian Yuan Xiang came out from inside. Her appearance gave Blondie a fright. Oh my god, why did someone suddenly come out? You can see me. Xian Yuan Xiang's eyebrows were filled with seriousness. Blondie rolled his eyes speechlessly. Do you think I'm blind? I can't see you. Do I need to tell you your measurements? You can really see her? Yi Zichen also raised his eyebrows. Since Xian Yuan Xiang was a spiritual body, no one else could see her. Boss, why are you asking that as well? Why can't I see her? Blondie frowned. At the same time, Xian Yuan Xiang also spoke up in Yi Zichen's mind. Ask him what general he was in that dream. Don't tell me that he might have reincarnated to follow me. There's at least an 80% chance. Yi Zichen felt like he was about to break down when he heard Xian Yuan Xiang's firm and serious reply. I can't get a few good people to follow me, but a Dragon Ball fanatic came. What am I going to do in the future? Yi Zichen scratched his nose and said with a helpless expression. What general were you in the dream? I think I was called Lin Meng in the dream. Blondie scratched his head. I don't really remember. Boss, why are you asking all this? Then did you have a jade pendant by your side when you woke up? A white one, Xian Yuan Xiang asked nervously. Blondie rolled his eyes, then nodded. I did. Yes, but I sold the jade pendant. Slap. Xian Yuan Xiang grabbed Blondie's collar with force, while the expression on her face was as scary as it could be. Blondie was so scared that he continuously blinked and gulped. You said you sold it? Yes, yeah. Then what if I didn't sell it? I don't have any money on me. I can't just starve to death, right? Coincidentally, I met an old man who seemed to be a junk collector, so I sold it to him for 10 yuan. But then I found a bandit lair that provided food and shelter. I still have the 10 yuan. With that, Blondie even took out the 10 celeste from his pocket. When he saw Xian Yuan Xiang's face that seemed like she wanted to swallow him alive, he handed the celeste over with a tremble. Here, the money from selling it is all here. If you want it, then I'll give it all to you. Want my ass? Xian Yuan Xiang rolled her eyes and walked to Yi Zichen's side. When Yi Zichen saw her sullen expression, No, is there a problem? Xian Yuan Xiang glared, then twitched her mouth and snorted. Chapter 490. Drought Demon. It was all over. These words were a little scary. Yi Zichen couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine when he saw Xian Yuan Xiang's serious expression. What is that jade pendant for? Is it that exaggerated? Do you know what this jade pendant is for? Xian Yuan Xiang narrowed her eyes and raised her eyebrows. The Drought Demon is sealed within that jade pendant. Drought Demon, one of the 4 zombie progenitors, the daughter of the Yellow Emperor. Rumor has it that after the Yellow Emperor's daughter, Hanba, died in battle, she absorbed the corpse chi of the battlefield and became the first zombie of ancient times. Hidorigami died in battle before I even appeared. I only found out about this from the Yellow Emperor after the dragons created me. I've only heard the Yellow Emperor mention how strong Hanba is. Back then, the Devil World's Chi-Yu invited the Count of Wind and Master of Rain from the Heavenly Court. Both of them could do nothing to Hanba. Xian Yuan Xiang's expression was solemn, and Blondie didn't even dare to breathe too loudly. Even though he didn't understand what the woman and his boss were talking about, he knew that he had done something wrong. Why would this jade pendant appear in his possession? Lin Meng was skilled in sealing, so the Yellow Emperor left the jade pendant with him. But this kid actually sold it for the front. How dare you sell it for 10 celeste? Just that heaven-grade white jade alone is priceless, really. Xian Yuan Xiang kept shaking her head and snickering. Blondie also lowered his head and muttered. I don't know anything, so why are you being so fierce? Why are all the women around boss so scary? You still dare to talk back. Xian Yuan Xiang wanted to slap her. She had lost such an important thing. It was already good enough that she could control her emotions and didn't dismember her. Well, don't think too much of it. Even though the jade pendant was lost, it doesn't mean that anyone would know that the drought demon is sealed inside, right? Yi Zichen comforted with a smile. Xian Yuan Xiang pursed her lips and smiled. If I tell you that the seal will loosen, I wonder if you, Pa. Before he finished, Yi Zichen raised his hand and smacked Yellow Hair's head. If there was no seal during this period of time and Hanba came out, everyone was really going to die. Why didn't you keep it properly? You sold it just for food. Seriously, are you a pig? Forget it, don't be angry with him. What made people speechless was that Xian Yuan Xiang, who was so angry that she wanted to eat Goldie, actually told him not to be angry. It seems like you were the one who got angry first. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Yes, but after thinking about it, I realized that it's useless to be angry. Call that girl called Zhua Mo over tomorrow. Isn't she quite powerful here? Ask her to help look for it. That's the only way. He raised his hand and knocked Yellow Hair's head. It looked like he was going to find Zhua Mo to discuss cooperation again. But this time, he didn't know what he would use to invite her. Last time, he had given her a bottleneck-breaking pill. Could it be that he would give her another bottleneck-breaking pill this time? Back at the Longevity Garden, smoke rose from the depths of the courtyard. Even though they were in the capital, the Spiritual Breeze Village's villagers still maintained the simple atmosphere they had in the village. Although they no longer lived a life where men farmed and women weaved, their living habits hadn't changed much. 4 round tables were placed in the round pavilion in the middle of the courtyard. All the villagers were gathered here, and all of them were talking about Shuelan's broken engagement. Brat, you went out for another day. Stone, who was chatting with the villagers, stood up with a laugh. Hearing what Stone called Yi Zichen, Xueqi pulled him, as if to tell him to stop being so cocky. Yi Zichen, who noticed that, put his arm around Stone's shoulder with a smile, then walked in front of Xueqi. Yi, village chief Xue, just treat me like the miner I was before. Otherwise, I'll feel very uncomfortable if you treat me differently like this. If you continue to be like this, then I won't stay in the Spiritual Breeze Village anymore. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Xueqi smiled. You can't break etiquette. You can't break etiquette. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. There's no need for etiquette. Stone rolled his eyes. Brother Yizi isn't the type of person to mind so much. Just do what you should do. Say, why are you being so girly? Look at me and Brother Yizi, aren't we the same as before? Big Brother Stone is right, Yi Zichen nodded. Then, alright. Xueqi nodded after a brief hesitation, then set his gaze towards Yellow Hair, who was on the side. This guy was one of my lackeys before I ascended. Arrange a place for him to stay at. False Earth Immortal? Lackey. Xueqi couldn't help but be shocked. Human Immortal level experts are truly different. Even false Earth Immortal level experts can only be their lackeys. However, it was precisely this lackey-level person that allowed the Zhou family to prosper a few years ago. However, that was already in the past. The current victorious village was like heaven and earth compared to the Spiritual Breeze Village. Not to mention the victorious village, even some normal families might not be able to live as well as the Spiritual Breeze Village. The entire courtyard was filled with spiritual herbs. The people's weapons were all earth-grade spiritual treasures, and all sorts of elemental cultivators. All of this made the village seem like a medium-large family. The person who brought all of this was the person in front of me, the person who ascended unwillingly and stayed behind out of kindness. All right, then arrange for this brother to stay in the courtyard beside Brother Yez. I wonder how I should address this brother. My name is Wang Meng, but boss and the brothers around me all call me Yellow Hair. Yellow Hair pointed at his yellow hair with a smile. Brother Wang. Xueqi replied politely. Yi Zichen dared to call him Yellow Hair, but he didn't. No matter what, he was a false earth immortal level expert, so he had to be more respectful. It's time to eat. Xuelon walked over with a plate of vegetables with a giggle, while the women of the Spiritual Breeze village followed behind her. When she saw Yi Zichen, she immediately placed the dishes onto the table, wrapped her arms around his arm, and smiled. Zichen Gij, when did you come back? This somewhat intimate action was met with incomprehensible reactions by the others. Stone and his wife only smiled faintly and nodded lightly. As for Xueqi, he raised his eyebrows when he saw that, but he didn't say anything. Zichen Gij, sit. Xuelon dragged Yi Zichen to sit down. Yellow Hair quickly sat beside him, only to see Xuelon glaring at him angrily. Who are you? What right do you have to sit beside Zichen Gij? What's wrong with me sitting with boss? Little Yellow Hair, you're being immature. Come sit beside your brother Stone. Stone patted the empty seat next to him. Blondie blinked his eyes in a daze and responded, then ran over and sat down. Xuelon also smiled and sat down beside Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen truly stuffed himself during the meal. The main reason was that Xuelon, that little girl, always put food in his bowl and looked as if she would cry if he didn't eat. Helplessly, he forced himself to eat 3 big bowls of rice. After dinner, Yi Zichen found a quiet place to smoke. At this moment, a pitch-black figure walked out from behind him. Chapter 491. Ki. The sudden voice startled Yi Zichen, causing him to turn around and look behind him. It's you. Yi Zichen smiled, then took a deep puff of the cigarette. You don't seem to be surprised that I'm here at all. That's rather surprising, the hooded man smiled. The man in black night clothes and a hood twitched his mouth and smiled, then set his gaze on the cigarette between Yi Zichen's fingers. What's this? A cigarette. The people on your side shouldn't have smoked before, right? Do you want to try one? With that, Yi Zichen took out a pack of cigarettes and gave one to the person. Thank you, but never mind. I'm not the sort of person who likes to try new things. But you have to at least try to accept it. Yi Zichen didn't force the person if he didn't want it. He put the cigarette back into his pocket. Yi Zichen looked towards the villagers. They didn't seem to notice that a stranger had arrived. Why did you come? Yi Zichen stretched lazily towards the person under the black suit. The person smiled. Thank you, young Master Yi. The man smiled. Your place is pretty good. Did Zhuo decorate it for you? Why do you say that? Couldn't I have done it? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with a smile. The man shrugged and pointed at the surrounding spiritual herbs. Didn't you notice? If these spiritual herbs are placed together, they form the word Mo. You're very interested in her? Do you like her? A faint smile surfaced on Yi Zichen's face, then he quickly shrugged. If you came to find me for her, then I don't think there's a need. I'm not interested in that crazy girl. Crazy? It's a mental illness. Of course, I'm not saying that she's sick, it's just a simple description. All right, your words are very interesting, the hooded man smiled, then shook his head. The person under the black robe pursed her lips and chuckled. Soon after, she shook her head and said, however, you don't have to tell me so much. I didn't come for her this time. Then? Yi Zichen hesitated. If it wasn't for Zhuo, then he wouldn't have any interaction with this person. I'm just curious. Zhuo is a very proud woman. I've never seen her treat a man like you. That's why I'm here. Is she very special to me? Very special. The black-robed man smiled faintly and took out a token from his bosom and handed it over. I feel that you have the potential to become my ally. This token is the key to a secret place. I can give you time to think about it. If you want to have a deeper relationship with me, this key is yours. If you don't want it, I'll take it back myself. With that, the black-robed man disappeared in front of Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen looked at the token in his hand in shock. At that moment, Xianyuan Xiang also walked over and frowned when she saw the key in his hand. I think I know what this key is for. Tell me. Yi Zichen threw the cigarette onto the ground and stepped on it, then raised his eyebrows. However, Xinyuan Xiang shook her head. But I forgot. Go to the side. Was there any difference between this and not saying anything? After sending Xinyuan Xiang away, Yi Zichen's gaze landed on the token once more. At this moment, Xuelan skipped towards him. Big brother Zichen. Just as he was about to speak to her with a smile, the phone in his pocket started to vibrate intensely. Zichenji has other things to do. Lil Lan, go and play with your big brother stone. With that, Yi Zichen hurriedly left. Xuelan pouted, while a strange emotion slowly grew in her eyes. When Yi Zichen returned to his bedroom and took out his phone, he saw that Su Yan had sent him a video call. Except, where did you go? Why did you only pick up after so long? Su Yan frowned on the screen, while her expression didn't look too good. I was eating with the villagers just now. What happened? Why did you suddenly think of me? Is that so? Su Yan smiled in confusion. At that moment, Xia Kik's grandfather popped out and made a face at him. Zichenji, you're in huge trouble. Su and I already know. What? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows in confusion. He really didn't know what they were talking about. The infatuated man caused havoc in the Azure Sky Pavilion for a certain girl. The #1 gossip in the immortal region. Is that infatuated man you? Xia Kiki laughed playfully. Hearing that, Yi Zichen was instantly enraged. Where did you guys hear that? What infatuated man? I went to the Azure Sky Pavilion because my little sister from the same village was screwed over by a scumbag, so I went to help her. This is definitely a rumor. I have nothing to do with her. Don't be too nervous, Su and I didn't say anything. Oh yeah, let me show you someone. With that, Xia Kiki moved aside, causing a new girl to appear on the screen. Lulu. Yi Zichen was shocked. Why are you guys together? We're all in the Endless Beast region, so of course we can see. Lulu smiled, revealing 2 cute dimples on her face. Lulu smiled as 2 cute dimples appeared on her cheek. At the same time, she also raised her eyebrows and smiled. You haven't seen me for so long. Did you miss me? Even though it was through the phone screen, Yi Zichen could feel the atmosphere become rather tense. The three of them would definitely care about his answer. If he said anything wrong, then it would be a huge problem. After thinking about it, Yi Zichen decided to skip this question. Did you guys eat? See? I bet that Yi Zichen definitely won't answer. Pay up, pay up. Xia Kiki laughed loudly in the video, then reached out her hands towards the other two. Su Yan and Lulu both glared at Yi Zichen, then took out 2 pieces of paper that were similar to ancient banknotes from their pockets and chucked them over. It's all your fault. Su and I lost 1,000 yuan each. Lulu bit her lips angrily. Xia Kiki suddenly popped in from outside the video with a giggle. I'll give you half when we meet. I'll give you half when we meet. Haha, I understand Yi Zichen the best. You two said that he would answer. Seriously, girls, you're too young. She's thinking that they're using him to gamble. Oh yeah, Kiki told me that you're in a certain city in the immortal region right now. Lulu spoke up once again. Yi Zichen nodded, then heard her ask, which city? Maple City. Aha, got it. Alright, that's the end of the video call. We're going to play games. Bye-bye. Lulu waved towards him on the screen, causing the video call to end. Yi Zichen had wanted to say a bit more to Su Yan, but when he sent the video call over, he was continuously rejected. Not long later, Su Yan's reply appeared on the screen. Chapter 492. Discipline Committee. In the blink of an eye, a month had already passed since Yi Zichen ascended to the immortal region. During that period of time, his strength did not improve much, but his understanding of the 3 realms was no longer the same as before. He sat obediently in the training field and listened to the teacher's lecture. Even though he was already at the human immortal level, which was similar to their teacher, he did not know how to use it. However, he only had some spiritual power, but he didn't know how to use it. He would always inadvertently waste a lot of spiritual power. Right now, he was learning how to control and release spiritual power freely. You don't seem like such a hard-working person to me. Zhuemo appeared dressed like a man. Zhuemo appeared dressed like a man. Yi Zichen glanced at her, then nodded towards the teacher, before taking her to the pavilion in the courtyard. Any progress? Yi Zichen had already asked Zhuemo to help him search for the white jade pendant the day after Yellow Hair arrived. However, there were far too many white jade pendants. Even if he narrowed down the search to the human grade level, he still did not make much progress. Is there nothing else we can talk about? Every time I come, you ask me how it's going. Can't you care about whether I'm tired or not? Zhuemo looked over bitterly. Yi Zichen intentionally skipped the topic and raised his eyebrows. Then what did you come here for? What a blockhead! Zhuemo frowned in annoyance. Just ask around. When has the young lady of the Zhou family, the first in-line successor of the Treasure Pavilion, ever treated anyone like that? She did everything herself, met at least twice a day, and she even came to find him. Anyone else would be extremely excited, but this guy in front of me, he's like a dead person. Apart from being able to breathe and speak, he doesn't care about anything else. You're pissing me off. Zhuemo clenched her fists, then grabbed Yi Zichen's collar and dragged him outside before he could react. Go shopping with this young lady. Yi Zichen, help me buy this doll, okay? Zhuemo shook Yi Zichen's arm with an extremely coquettish tone. With the Zhou family's wealth, or rather, the treasure tower's wealth, even if this young lady wanted the moon palace on the moon, the treasure tower might be able to get it. However, she didn't want to buy it herself, and wanted Yi Zichen to give it to her. More importantly, she had forgotten that she was wearing men's clothes. Two men came to buy a doll, and one of them was hugging the other man and acting like a spoiled child. Everyone around them turned to look at them. Even the shopkeeper looked at them with a strange expression. All right. Zhuemo acted as if she didn't notice everyone's gazes and continued to act coquettishly. Actually, she had noticed it a long time ago, but she also wanted to do the same. If she took off this outfit, she would be the famous person in the Eastern continent, Zhuemo. At that time, it was impossible for her to act coquettishly with a man like this. If this were to spread out, it would not be a good thing for her or that lucky man. In this state, she could only do what she usually wanted to do but did not dare to do. All right, I'll buy it. Yi Zichen was unable to endure the woman's torture. He took out a few celeste from his pocket and handed the doll to Zhuemo. You're so nice. Smack. Zhuemo stood on tiptoe and kissed Yi Zichen on the cheek. At that moment, Yi Zichen was completely shocked, while the passers-by and the owner froze. Two men. Can you two men be any more shameless? Don't you know that it's offensive to be so lovey-dovey in broad daylight? A fatty in a shirt among the passers-by couldn't stand it anymore. Acting coquettishly was one thing, but the two of them even kissed. We can do whatever we want. What does that have to do with you? Zhuemo held up Yi Zichen's face, then stood on tiptoe and poked his lips. See that? I'm not kissing his face this time. What are you going to do? Hey, kiss him again if you dare. Zhuemo kissed him again without saying anything else. Yi Zichen stood on the spot like a puppet. He looked at the fatty in a shirt in shock, as well as Zhuemo, whose eyes were red. These two are in cahoots, right? They're here to take advantage of me, right? Damn, fatty, you still want to control us? What right do you have to control us? Zhuemo snorted. Nice, you're arguing with Grandpa, right? Grandpa has important matters to attend to here, but as the chairman of the discipline committee, why do I feel so uncomfortable when I see the two of you? With that, the fatty, who was several tens of meters away from them, turned into a bolt of lightning and appeared in front of them. You're arrested for indecency. The fatty raised his hand and grabbed towards Zhuemo and Zhuemo. The moment he made his move, the guest chamberlains of the treasure tower, who had been protecting him in secret, also appeared. Sire, just stop right here. Help, puny human immortal. F***ck off for Grandpa. Bang. The fatty raised his eyebrows in anger, then kicked the two complete stage human immortal experts away. Both Yi Zichen and Zhuo Mo were shocked when they saw that. Sky Immortal? Could this fatty be a Sky Immortal? Freeze. Yi Zichen pointed at the fatty, causing him to instantly freeze on the spot. Then, he grabbed Zhuo Mo's hand and ran backwards like a madman. Can you contact the people from the treasure tower? Hurry up and tell them to come and save us. Yi Zichen shouted as he ran. He crippled two human immortals with just 2 kicks. This fatty is truly a bit strong. However, at that very moment, the fatty, who was frozen on the spot, appeared in front of them once again. Brat, you're from the Endless Beast region? Run, leave this to me. Yi Zichen pushed Zhuo Mo backwards, then released all of the human immortal spiritual energy in his body. Hey, you're not even as good as those 2 kids just now. They actually wanted to fight lousy, the fatty mocked. I don't care if you're from the Endless Beast region or not. Since you're in the Immortal region, then you have to listen to the Immortal region's rules. Bang. Yi Zichen was already unable to endure the pressure of the spiritual energy. When Zhuo Mo saw his situation, Zhuo Mo have never run in all these years since I was born. Zhuo Mo released the spiritual energy in her body, causing the fatty to raise his eyebrows. You 2 youngsters are both human immortals. Both of you clearly have pretty good talent, so why is your sexual orientation a bit abnormal? For the future of the flower bud of the immortal region, it seems like I have to straighten the 2 of you today. A black mist was slowly released from his body. Not long later, the black mist enveloped both Yi Zichen and Zhuo Mo. Chapter 493. Marry you. The cycle of 10,000 lives wasn't exactly what it sounded like. It merely had the effect of creating dreams. In the dream, Yi Zichen and Zhuo Mo would meet each other in every life. At the same time, the stories in the dream would spread positive energy and correct life values to them, thus turning them straight. It's about time. It wasn't easy for me to come to the 3 realms, but I actually met these 2 weirdos. This is so bad. The fatty rubbed his chin with his right hand, then raised his hand to wake the 2 of them up. Just as he was about to see them act a bit more normally, what he didn't know was that the fatty was wrong, and extremely wrong. Yi Zichen. Zhuo Mo's girly look became even more obvious after waking up from the dream. It was very clear that the 2 of them weren't turned straight by the dream, causing one of them to become even more crooked. This doesn't make sense. The fatty had never met such a troublesome case even after being the head of the discipline committee for so many years. You're really trying to compete with your grandpa, right? Fine, I'll capture you 2 and properly turn you 2 straight later. The fatty was rather stubborn when it came to discipline. As long as he felt like it was bad, then he would do anything even if it was a huge matter. He had to deal with the discipline first before doing anything else. Friend, I feel like you might have misunderstood something. Yi Zichen let go of Zhuo Mo's arm and walked forward. The fatty snorted. Friend, I feel like you might have misunderstood something. Yi Zichen let go of Zhuo Mo's arm and walked forward. Don't talk about misunderstandings. The fact that you 2 are together is a huge problem. Come with me to the discipline committee. The fatty reached out with his right hand, causing Yi Zichen and Zhuo Mo to fly towards the fatty uncontrollably and completely disappear from the street. The guest chamberlains of the treasure tower actually dared to arrive with experts less than 15 minutes after they left. There are traces of the young lady's aura here. They shouldn't have gone far. Chase them. Yi Zichen sat on a straw mat in a dark and damp underground prison, while Zhuo Mo was locked up in the cell opposite him. Zhuo Mo swore that this was the most humiliating moment she had ever experienced in her life. Someone actually dared to capture her and keep her in a cell like this. The damp environment was very bad for the skin. Tell me, when did you 2 start? Fatty was sitting in the middle of the corridor between the 2 prison cells. In front of him was a small square table with strong liquor and a small dish to go with it. Humph. Zuemo rolled her eyes at him, then sat down on the straw mat in silence. She no longer wanted to waste any more time talking to this fatty. The people from the treasure tower must have already made their move. She would naturally be safe and sound in no time. If he doesn't say it, then you do it. The fatty set his gaze upon Yizichin, who was playing with his phone on the straw mat. Being detained by a stranger, he had to find someone to rescue him. Since none of you want to speak, I'll speak. Fatty stood up from his chair and raised his eyebrows. Your behavior is immoral, unhealthy, and unacceptable. Your behavior has seriously affected the physical and psychological health of minors. Okay, go on. Zuemo smirked coldly. Anyone familiar with her would know that she was already angry. Don't argue with me. Everything I'm doing is for your own good. The fatty clapped his hands and raised his eyebrows. I'll give you two some time to reflect. When you decide to separate, ring the bell in front of the cell door. I'll come and let you out. Of course, don't try to trick me. I can sense it. Bang. The door to the cell shut tightly. Yizichin, who was sitting on the straw mat, raised his eyebrows and sighed. You should have just told him that you're a woman. You should have just told him that you're a woman. There's no need to argue with him. Why not? Everyone has the right to love. For example, I'm a woman and the person I like is also a woman. I feel like this should be accepted by the world. Zuemo's eyes were filled with displeasure. And that damn fatty, look at how perverted he is. What's more, he's the chairman of the discipline committee. I think he's just mentally deformed. It's immoral. It's offensive. His looks are offensive. Alright, then what do you think we should do now? We can't just stay here forever. Yizichin didn't really care about that. He could accept it regardless of whether it was someone of the same gender or the opposite gender. However, the prerequisite was that he was a straight man. Before that, you have to answer a question for me. Zuemo bit her lips. If I say that I want to marry you, will you agree? Marry me? Yizichin pointed at himself in shock. Zuemo nodded. Yes, marry you. Then I feel like it's terrible. A woman marrying a man. Of course, I don't have any other intentions, it's just that it's too weird. Yizichin shrugged. Zuemo also spoke up. Then will you agree to marry me? Do you think that I'm someone who can marry you? Yizichin rolled his eyes and twitched his mouth. Then will you agree to marry me? Yizichin rolled his eyes and twitched his mouth. A poor brat like me isn't worthy of a rich young lady of the treasure tower like you. I'm not a snobbish woman. Let's talk about it later. Right now, what we need to worry about is how we're going to get out. Isn't it too early to talk about whether I'm going to marry you or not? That's very important to me, Zuemo replied angrily. However, Yizichin suddenly shut his mouth and played with his phone with a smile. Very good, you're the first man to reject me, Zuemo smiled. Zuemo smiled faintly, then said, Don't worry. When I came, our treasure tower's unique sensors already sent a message. They're sending people to rescue us. We'll be able to leave soon. That's good, Yizichin also smiled. Yizichin pursed his lips and smiled. To his surprise, Zuemo's exquisite eyes lit up with a meaningful smile as well. After we get out, I'm going to kidnap you to the treasure tower and make you marry me, even if I have to do it by force. Ahem, Yizichin coughed softly when he noticed Zuemo's strange gaze. When he thought back to what she said earlier, about marrying a man. She truly has the heart of a queen. Beep. A soft beep suddenly sounded out in the quiet prison. Yizichin thought that it was his phone ringing, but he saw Zuemo take out a phone similar to the one Yang Jian and company used in the heavenly court. Very quickly, Zuemo's expression drastically changed. She put down her phone with a terrible expression. It seems like the people from the treasure tower can't come. What do you mean? Yizichin raised his eyebrows in confusion. This prison is a bit weird. My phone can't get any signal. Otherwise, I'll just call Yang Jian and company over. I've been waiting for the people from the treasure tower to come and rescue us for so long. Now, Zuoremo actually told me that they can't come. Slap. Zuoremo chucked the phone towards Yizichin, then looked at the message. Chapter 494. Zhuge Hong of the Fire Phoenix Race Endless Beast Region. The place that Fatty brought them to was actually the Endless Beast Region. Damn it! Yizichin cursed silently, then returned his phone to Zuomo's hands, before taking out his phone from his pocket. If only he could get in touch with Su Yen and the others. Endless Beast Region. It'll be very troublesome for the rogue Immortal Region's people to come over. Even if my people force a breakthrough to bring me back, they'll need to wait for all the Heaven Immortal experts to arrive. Zuoremo smiled. Then, she noticed the phone in Yizichin's hand. Why do you have one too? You mean this? Yizichin raised his phone. When he saw Zuoremo nod, he replied. It was a coincidence. If he were to talk about the situation in the modern realm, there might be a lot of problems. At this moment, he was not in the mood to explain. Right now, he simply wanted to escape from this dark place. What is it that can help us escape? Yizichin clicked open the treasure chests on the social media app. There was no need to think about the treasure shop, since he needed to go online to buy it, so he could only place it in the local treasure chest. Marriage string. Ghost controlling talisman. Thousandly tracking talisman. None of this was of any help to Yizichin. He subconsciously tried to find the system, but no matter how he called it, there was no response at all. Let's wait. My clansmen definitely won't let me stay in the Endless Beast region for long. They'll definitely think of a way to save us. However, at that moment, Yizichin suddenly noticed a jade slip. This jade slip. It seemed to be left behind when he took Zhuge Kongming in the modern realm and his mother came to take him away. At that time, the other party had told him that if he was in danger, he could crush this jade slip and she would naturally come to save his life. However, in the future, either Yizichin would be able to deal with it, or no one would be able to. The jade scroll had been left in the treasure chest. At this time, in this kind of situation, he needed someone to come and take him out, but he didn't know if this jade slip would work. I have to give it a try. Yizichin clenched his teeth, took out the jade tablet and crushed it. I thought you would never use this jade slip in your life. Suddenly, a gentle laugh rang out in the dungeon. Before long, within Yizichin's cell, Zhuge Hong, dressed in red, appeared beside him with a faint smile on her face. It worked. Yizichin's eyes lit up. Senior Zhuge. Someone actually locked him up in a cell. This seems to be the territory of the Endless Beast region? Zhuge Hong raised her eyebrows. She squinted her eyes and grabbed Yizichin's shoulder. Since I promised to protect you once, then I'll take you away now. Wait a moment. Yizichin raised his hand, then pointed at Zuoremo, who was in the cell opposite Zhuge Hong's hesitant gaze. 2 people. That's a good deal. Buy one get one free? Zhuge Hong smiled playfully, but she didn't say anything. Yizichin raised his hand and melted the cell door, which they couldn't open no matter how hard they tried. At the same time, he released Zuoremo. Let's go. Just as Zhuge Hong was about to take the 2 of them away, there was a loud bang from the dungeon door. Who dares to act so impudently in the jail king's territory? The fatty held a chicken leg in his oily hands. From the looks of it, he must have gone out to eat his fill. When Zhuge Hong saw him, she also let go of Yizichin and Zuoremo, then raised her eyebrows with a smile. I wonder how these 2 juniors angered Lord Jail King. I wonder what these 2 juniors did to infuriate Lord Jail King to the point of imprisoning them here. These 2 brats don't have proper morals. Lousy must imprison them and make them admit their mistakes. The fatty wiped the oil from the corner of his mouth and snorted. As for you, it seems like you've heard of Lousy's name. You actually dare to come and steal people from Lousy? Who doesn't know the Jail King, one of the 3 kings of the Endless Beast region? However, this lady owes these 2 juniors, so I must take them away today. Zhuge Hong smiled. Zhuge Hong chuckled. At the same time, she pushed the 2 of them behind her. Her gentle gaze grew even sharper. Her body also glowed with a red light. Gradually, the light evolved into a scorching flame. Phoenix Clan. The fatty's expression froze, but he didn't say anything else. The authority of the jail king cannot be challenged, and those who cause trouble must be imprisoned. Roar! The fatty let out a howl that sounded like both a dog and a wolf. At that moment, Zhuge Hong's hair and eyes also gradually turned red. A high-pitched phoenix cry continuously sounded out from her throat, while a solidified phoenix appeared behind her. You actually know someone from the Endless Beast Region's Phoenix Clan? The Phoenix Clan is a noble clan in the Beast region. Zuomo covered her mouth and exclaimed. Yi Zichen's eyelids twitched. Zhuge Hong is at least of the mid-stage sky immortal level, but someone of that level actually stayed in the modern realm. If she had the ambition to rule the modern realm, then the demons wouldn't have anything to do with it. Phoenix Clan, if you retreat now, then this king can let you go. If you continue to be stubborn, then don't blame this king for not considering our relationship with the Beast region. The fatty's body gradually became skinnier. After that, he began to radiate an unstoppable aura. After I take these two children away, I will naturally go to the Tiango clan to apologize. Zhuge Hong's expression tensed, then a scorching flame immediately flew out from her body towards the fatty. The fatty was unable to dodge in that narrow space. He forcefully blocked the flame, causing a wave of heat to surge towards him. Bang! At that moment, the door to the dungeon was suddenly kicked open. The person who appeared was a white-robed, white-haired young man. When he felt the heat in the dungeon, he subconsciously took a step back. Fatty, what are you doing here? Fatty, what kind of tricks are you playing here? How's the thing Lord White asked you to do? The young man frowned. Zhuge Hong's expression changed a chance. She raised her hand and a flaming palm grabbed towards the young man. Fatty's brows furrowed in anger as he reprimanded. Don't even think about harming the young master. The fatty forcefully shattered the flaming palm, then punched towards Zhuge Hong, before quickly retreating in front of the young man. What's going on? They're fighting. The young man raised his eyebrows as if he was watching a good show. The fatty also frowned. Young master, it's dangerous here. You shouldn't stay here. What danger is there? Aren't you going to protect me? Fight. You two continue fighting, I'll watch from here. The young man ignored the fatty's advice and walked forward with a smile. When he walked down the stairs and saw Zhuge Hong and company in the dungeon. Chapter 495. Young Master, Lil White. Anyone who wasn't an idiot would be able to sense the white-haired young man's rage. Seeing that, Zhuge Hong wanted to seize the chance to capture the white-haired young man in exchange for the two of them. It couldn't be helped if it was just a competition of strength. She might be on par with the jail king, but it would be rather difficult for her to take the two of them away. Sorry, Zhuge Hong reached out with her hand. Zhuge Hong's void hand reached forward. The white-haired youth frowned, and his body immediately became illusory. However, Zhuge Hong only managed to grab the white-haired young man's shadow. When she came back to her senses, the young man had already appeared beside the jail king. Void embodiment. Zhuge Hong was stunned. That was an extremely high-level spiritual technique for spiritual beasts. As far as she could remember, only the 4 sacred beasts and a few famous mythological beasts knew this spiritual technique. This is troublesome. Only then did she start to panic. She licked her lips, then squinted her eyes and walked in front of Yi Zichen and the jail king. Then, she said at the same time, if it really doesn't work, then I'll directly turn into a fire cage to trap them. You two can use that chance to run. How can I do that? What about you? I can undergo nirvana. Zhuge Hong frowned. That was naturally the worst-case scenario. She decided not to use that sort of spiritual technique unless she was forced into a corner. She looked towards the white-haired young man, who was looking forward with a frown. Meanwhile, the jail king had a look of worry. Young master, you aren't injured, right? How could I be injured? The white-haired young man rolled his eyes. What's going on with those two? They are the two people that you told me to find on the way to the immortal region. I caught them and locked them up. That firebird is the helper they hired. Slap. The white-haired young man slapped the jail king's head, then cursed, Despicable? Who the F***ck told you to catch them? I'll let you catch them, I'll let you catch them. Every time the young man said something, he would slap the fatty's head. The fatty was beaten until he covered his head and ran away. Only when he reached a corner of the prison did he reply with a wronged expression. Young master, what are you doing? Weren't you the one who made me the chairman of the Morals and Discipline Committee? Weren't you the one who told me to arrest anyone who violated morals and discipline? You dare to talk back? He slapped the fat man's head, and the fat man immediately lowered his head and stopped talking. For some reason, Yi Zichen felt that this scene was rather familiar. Judging from his tone and actions, it was obvious that he was lecturing Little White in the past. Do you know who that man is? That's my F***king boss. I had you come to Immortal Domain to invite him over as a guest, yet you actually dared to lock him up in the dungeon. The white-haired youth cursed in exasperation. He raised his hand high and said, I really want to slap your big mouth. With that, the white-haired young man ran over to Yi Zichen. Zhuge Hong subconsciously wanted to grab him. The young man grinned. Beautiful sister, don't even think about catching me. You can't catch me. Hearing his reply, Zhuge Hong subconsciously paused for a moment. It really is like that. I really can't do anything to a divine beast that has a void incarnation. At the moment she paused, the white-haired young man already walked in front of Yi Zichen with a chuckle. Boss, don't take offense. Fatty is just a simple-minded person. Sorry for offending you. Lil. White? Yi Zichen asked in a testing manner. The white-haired young man immediately nodded excitedly. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, that's me. Zoom. The young man, who was in human form, suddenly turned into a white poodle, and wagged his tail beside Yi Zichen. Not long later, he turned back into human form with a smile in his eyes. It really is you, little fellow, Yi Zichen revealed a look of joy. He knocked Lil White's head with a smile. It seems like you're doing pretty well in the Endless Beast region. Looks like you're doing pretty well in the Endless Beast region. You can even transform into a human? Yi Zichen and Lil White were already used to this sort of habitual action, but Jail King was immediately enraged when he saw it. You brat, you actually dared to knock young master's head. Why are you so ignorant? Can't you tell what kind of occasion this is? Xiao Bai frowned, slapped the fatty's head and scolded. This is my F***king boss, do you need me to explain it to you again? Both Zhuge Hong and Zuemo were dumbfounded. Boss? What was going on? After cleaning up the jail king, Little White ran back and said to Zuemo, Don't worry, Zuemo, is this my new sister-in-law? Don't talk nonsense. Yi Zichen glared. Normally speaking, Zuemo would not speak to Lil White before she understood the situation. However, when she heard what he said just now, you're talking about a new sister-in-law? Has this guy had a woman before? I misspoke. Xiao Bai quickly covered his mouth and blinked his eyes as he shook his head. I didn't say anything. My boss is very pure. You heard wrong. Don't talk nonsense here. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes, then frowned. Hurry up and get lousy out of here. It's so uncomfortable staying in this shitty dungeon. Yi Zichen and company finally walked out of the dark dungeon with Lil White's company and saw the light of day once again. The moment they came out, Zhuge Hong also indicated that she was going to leave first since she was no longer needed. Yi Zichen naturally expressed his gratitude towards her. Zhuge Hong also said, Come to the Phoenix clan to play when you have time, before leaving. Meanwhile, the jail king stood in the back of the pavilion like a bodyguard. However, his eyes were still filled with disgust towards Yi Zichen and Zuemo. It wasn't towards them, it was purely towards their impure relationship. Zuemo, take off your scholar hat, Fatty White seemed to be a bit dumb. He still didn't notice that Zhuemo was a girl, so he took off his hat unwillingly. The jail king took off his hat unwillingly. When he saw Zhuemo's black hair draping over her shoulders, his eyes widened. A girl! Eh? Zhuemo snorted coldly. Lil White rolled his eyes. How blind do you have to be to treat her as a guy? What's more, my boss is a late-stage straight guy. If he's gay, I would have gotten him a long time ago if he was. Why didn't you say so earlier? Lousy thought you too. Hee. Zhuemo maintained her cold expression. Since she had the heart of a queen, it was impossible for her to have any good feelings towards the fatty after all that she had just experienced. Boss, the girl you found this time doesn't have a good temper, Lil White walked over and said carefully when he noticed Zhuemo's expression. I told you not to say anything. Are you asking for a beating? Yizichen raised his hand and wanted to smack Lil White's head. However, Lil White did not let him get away with it. Lil White put his hands on his waist and laughed. You still want to hit me? I'm telling you, if we really fight right now, we might actually win. Yizichen raised his eyebrows with a smile. Chapter 496. Stay the night. Stop. Yizichen held Xianyuan's sword in his hand as he looked at Lil White, who was lying on the ground and admitting defeat. You admitted defeat? Xianyuan's sword stabbed into the ground. Lil White, who was lying on the ground, stood up in annoyance. You cheated. How did I cheat? Yizichen put on an innocent expression. I didn't use any spiritual techniques. I don't think I used any spiritual techniques. You used it as an artifact spirit. Lil White raised his hand and tidied up the white fur on Yizichen's head, then twitched his mouth. It's fine as long as I didn't use it. You didn't say that artifact spirits couldn't use it. A loss is a loss, don't find excuses for yourself. Although that was the case, Yizichen gained a new understanding of Lil White from the fight just now. Mid-stage human immortal. Back in the modern realm, this little fellow was the family's joker, the proud poodle. He actually improved so much in the short amount of time he spent in the three realms. Fine, I lost. Yizichen walked over to a nearby bench and sat down. Zhuemo, who'd been watching their fight, looked at Yizichen with an increasingly strange gaze. Divine artifact. As the future leader of the treasure tower, she could tell whether it was a divine artifact or not with a single glance. The weapon Yizichen used just now was clearly of the highest quality among divine artifacts. The artifact's spirit had its own consciousness to use spiritual techniques to strengthen the weapon. What's more, it looked like the Xianyuan sword of the Yellow Emperor in the primordial times. Why are you looking at me like that? Lil White returned Xianyuan's sword to his arm, then walked over with a smile. Maybe it's because boss's heroism impressed her, Yizichen smiled. You're talking nonsense again. Do you want to get beaten up again? Yizichen raised his eyebrows. Lil White puffed up his chest and snorted. Come, I won't restrict spiritual techniques this time. Do you think I'm an idiot? Void incarnation? Do you think I'm asking for it? You're scared, right? Lil White rolled his eyes proudly. Yizichen took the chance to slap him on the head. Seriously? Fine, your boss, so I admit it, Lil White shrugged. Yizichen also smiled, but his heart was strangely calm. Chatting with Little White made him feel like he had returned to the modern world, but when he saw Little White in human form, he knew that the peaceful past was a thing of the past. Dee. Zhuemo's phone rang in her pocket. She took it out and looked at the message. A bitter smile appeared on her face. I almost forgot about that. What happened? Yizichen raised his eyebrows. Zhuemo replied, then said, My clansmen are about to come in and save me. I just told them that I'm safe, so they don't have to worry and just wait for me outside. Your clansmen are quite attentive to you. It's all right. They're probably afraid that, if something happens to me, no one will pay them a high salary. In response, Yi Zichen chuckled and nodded. It might be a little stressful to talk to someone with high EQ and IQ, but it was undeniable that he felt relaxed at times. Then tell your clansmen to help tell the people of Spiritual Breeze Village that I might not be returning in the near future. Yi Zichen smiled. Zuemo raised her eyebrows. You're not going back? I finally got to see Lil White, so I'm going to stay with him for a while. I can get Lil White's people to send you back to the capital later. Yi Zichen smiled as he rubbed Lil White's head. Lil White also continuously nodded, as if he was very willing for Yi Zichen to stay. If you're not going back, then I'm not going back either. Zuemo raised her eyebrows, then sent the message out. The clansmen, who were waiting for her outside, saw her message. Tower Master, young lady said that she's going to stay in the Endless Beast region, but the relationship between the Endless Beast region and us, leave it to her. The middle-aged man in the carriage replied plainly. If Lil Mo says that she doesn't want to come back, then don't worry about it. However, leave some people here. If she has any problems, then force your way in. Understood. The guest chamberlain nodded solemnly. But Second Master just sent me a message and asked me how the young lady's situation is. Tell him the truth. Tell him that Zuemo is in the Endless Beast region. Then wouldn't that be very dangerous for the young lady? The man holding the communication device frowned, while the middle-aged man shrugged. Don't underestimate Lil Mo. In the future, she'll have to accept the entire treasure tower. If she can't even deal with such a small problem, then what right does she have to inherit it? Understood. The middle-aged man put down the curtains with a smile after telling them everything. Return to the clan. Boss, just stay here from now on. Lil White pointed at a room with a smile. Xiao Bai pointed to a side room and smiled. There are 2 rooms in this room, just enough for the 2 of you to stay together. Together? Yi Zichen was stunned. However, the moment he said that, Zuemo immediately became unhappy. I didn't even say anything. Why do I feel like you're unwilling? No, I'm not thinking about how it would affect your reputation, Yi Zichen smiled coyly. Zuemo snorted, then walked around the room a few times. I feel like it's fine. Give me the inner room, and you can have the outer room. Alright, whatever you say. Yi Zichen didn't dare to argue with her. Since she said so, then he'd just do as she said. Little White had been snickering at the side. It was obvious that he was in a good mood when Boss suffered a setback. It's funny as long as it's funny. He glared at him. At the same time, Jail King walked in from outside. During that time, Yi Zichen learned about the origins of Jail Kings from Lil White. This fellow's original form was that of a heaven-devouring dog. Before it gained a human form, it had always been kept in a cage. Perhaps it was because he had been influenced too much when he was young that he liked to lock people up after he grew up. As long as it was an enemy he captured, he would not torture or extort a confession. No matter what, he would directly seal that person's spiritual power and lock them in the dungeon. When the other party had made up his mind, he would ring the bell and he would go to see him. If he insisted on being stubborn, then he would be locked up forever. If 1 year was not enough, he would be locked up for 2 years. If 2 years was not enough, he would be locked up for 10 years. Over time, the title of Hell King came to be. Young Master, the clan head has returned, Jail King bowed. Lil White raised his eyebrows, then pursed his lips with a smile. Got it, I'll go over later. With that, he looked towards Yi Zichen and Zuemo with a smile. Let's go together. Let's go together. Even though you are my friends, I still have to tell him. We're all from the Immortal region. Will it be fine if we go? Zuemo raised her eyebrows worriedly. There weren't many conflicts between the Immortal region and the Beast region recently, but due to history, the spiritual beasts that existed long ago did not have a good impression of the people of the Immortal region. In response, Lil White merely smiled faintly. Chapter 497. White sharkened the way to the Tiango clan. It was not hard for Yi Zichen to feel that Lil White had an extremely high status in the clan. Wherever he walked past, everyone would stop and call him, young master, respectfully. Lil White Shark was already used to it, so he merely nodded with a smile and spoke with the aura of a superior. Little fellow, could your true form be a Tiango? How could the heavenly court eliminate you? Yi Zichen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows as they walked. Lil White quickly covered his mouth. Don't mention the heavenly court here. Yi Zichen couldn't help but be shocked when he saw Lil White's nervous expression. Lil White also placed his hands behind his head and shrugged. My true form isn't a Tiango. Not everyone in the Tiango clan is a Tiango, they are merely a large clan of dog-type spiritual beasts. If everyone here was a Tiango, then the three realms would have been unified long ago. As they spoke, the three of them arrived at the Tiango clan's meeting hall. At the front of the hall, a travel-worn man was chatting with the clan elders around him. When he saw Xiao Bai and the rest coming over, the corners of the man's mouth curled up. Lord White, why do you have time to come over? Hey, I have a friend over. As the clan head, I have to give you some face and report to you, Lil White chuckled. Then thank you, Lord White, the man also replied with a smile. The man in front of Yi Zichen was around 1.78 meters tall and had a medium build. His arms were very long, and the sleeves of a normal black robe only reached up to his forearm. He was practically comparable to Liu Bei of ancient times. His eyes and hair were a faint purple, while his teeth were rather sharp when he smiled, like those of a shark. These two are our Lord White's friends? This humble one is White Shark. You can call me Clan Head White. The man stood up from his chair and walked over. The man stood up and walked over. Yi Zichen and Zhua Mo bowed as well. Clan Head Bai. It's been a long time since we've had friends from the immortal region visit us. I think the last time was 10,000 years ago, White Shark replied with a smile. White Shark replied with a smile. Yi Zichen's expression changed. He can actually tell that we're from the immortal region. However, when he mentioned the immortal region, neither the elders nor the retainers revealed any signs of disgust. This didn't match up with what Xianyuan Xiang had told him, which was that the people of the Beast region and the immortal region didn't get along. It seems like the people of the immortal region have misunderstood our endless Beast region. Great White chuckled when he noticed Yi Zichen's expression. Not all clans have grudges with the people of the immortal region. Actually, there are only a few clans. The main reason was that the people of the immortal region would always capture some spirit beasts as mounts or spirit pets, which was why there were conflicts. But haven't we, the Heavenly Dog Clan, heard that dogs are humans' best friends? I see. Yi Zichen nodded. You can stay here for a long time. As for the rest, you can look for Mr. White. His position in the clan is not much lower than mine. Old White, I'm really happy to hear you say that. Lil White walked over with a smile and patted Yi Zichen's shoulder. Boss, let's go. Since Old Bai said that, then there's nothing to worry about. Clan leader Bai, we'll take our leave first. He humbly left the lobby. When he reached the door, a man and a woman walked in side by side. Why are you here? One of the young men frowned when he saw Xiao Bai, but Xiao Bai ignored him. Instead, she waved at the girl beside her and smiled. Xiaoing. Yes. The girl gently nodded and said, Brother and I heard that father had returned, so we came to see. He's back, he's back. Old Bai. Clan leader Bai is inside. Hurry up and go in. Xiao Bai kept nodding and gave way at the same time. The girl nodded gently, but the young man next to her snorted and pushed his shoulder before walking in. Lil White's gaze remained on the girl the entire time. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled when he noticed that. Like it? Heh heh. Little White scratched his head with an embarrassed smile. However, his expression revealed his true thoughts. So the person who doesn't get along with you is that girl's brother? Lil White nodded. Xiao Bai nodded noncommittally. This guy was originally on good terms with me, but he is old Bai's son, but he gave the position of young master to me. After that, he has never been on good terms with me. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's go back. Wait. At that moment, Yi Zichen opened the treasure chest in his phone. Diding's qilin leg had already been in there for quite some time. The system did not say what it could be used for, so it was a waste to leave it with it. I might as well give it to Lil White and have him give it to someone who needs it. Yi Zichen took out the qilin leg. The moment it appeared, the aura of an auspicious beast was released. Even if Zuoyamo did not know about the qilin leg, she could still tell that it was extraordinary. Boss, this. Lil White was stunned. He knew very well just how precious the qilin leg was. I'm giving it to you. I got it for you to use. But since you don't need it, then just give it to someone you want to give it to. Yi Zichen handed the qilin leg over with a smile. Xiao Bai smiled faintly and handed over the qilin leg. Xiao Bai hurriedly waved her hand and said, "That won't do. It's too precious. Is there a need for us to be so polite?" Yi Zichen stuffed the qilin leg into Lil White's hand with a smile, then stretched lazily. Hurry up and go back. I still have a lot of things I want to talk to you about. Yi Zichen chatted with Lil White until nightfall, during which they talked about their encounters after ascending to the three realms. Yi Zichen sat on the stone chair in the courtyard and looked up at the starry sky. The pitch-black night seemed to be covered by a curtain, causing it to be so hazy that it was impossible to see the end. Yi Zichen smoked a cigarette, then returned to his room and took out his phone. Su Yan and the others were in the Endless Beast region, so he might be able to use this chance to meet them. Are you asleep? Yi Zichen sent a message in a testing manner. Not long later, the other party sent him a video, except, on the screen, Su Yan was wearing a nightgown. Her hair was still wet, making it seem like she had just taken a shower. She was wrapped in a blanket as she laid on the bed with a gentle look in her bright eyes. Tell me, am I asleep or not? Why did you suddenly think of me? Aren't you busy? You might not believe it, but I'm in the Endless Beast region right now. Yi Zichen shrugged with a smile. Su Yan exclaimed in surprise with a look of joy, Really? Yeah, really. I was thinking that if it's possible, I want to go over and see you. Sure, of course, Su Yan smiled. It just so happens that it's my birthday the day after tomorrow. If you could come, I'd be so happy I'd die. Birthday. Chapter 498. Little Prince Su Yan's expression turned a bit ugly when she saw Yi Zichen's stunned gaze. Don't you remember, sort of? Yi Zichen scratched his head with a coy smile. I did forget. I'm also a bit surprised at how coincidental it was. Seriously, you just don't know how to answer. Su Yan rolled her eyes in annoyance. When she saw that Yi Zichen was still smiling awkwardly, she sighed. Well, I don't blame you. But you must come tomorrow. If you don't, When Yi Zichen saw her wrinkled nose, he couldn't help but nod with a smile, then promised solemnly. I'll definitely be there. That's good. Coco will definitely be happy when the time comes. Lulu, on the other hand, is in trouble. She snuck off to Maple City to find you. What's she going there for? Yi Zichen was confused. Su Yan felt a bit jealous. She wants to surprise you. The two of them chatted like this for a long time until Su Yan couldn't take it anymore. She was going to be the star of the birthday party tomorrow, so she decided to go to bed first. However, before she went to bed, she reminded Yi Zichen again and again that he had to be there. Naturally, Yi Zichen promised that he would definitely come. Only then did the other party close the video call and go to sleep. The Nine-Tailed Fox Clan. If he wanted to go there, then Yi Zichen would definitely have to trouble Lil White. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to find the Nine-Tailed Fox Clan if he ran around in the Endless Beast region like a stranger. Perhaps he would be captured by a certain spirit beast and used as a mascot before he even arrived at the destination. His gaze landed on the Heavenly Court chat group. It could be said that he had truly witnessed the fall of the Heavenly Court chat group. In the past, there would be 99 plus messages in the chat group in a short period of time. Now, there were not even 99 messages in a month. Looking at the internal members, the members of the group had evolved from a few hundred to less than 100 now. As for where they had gone in the red packet server, this seemed to have become a second heavenly court chat group. The immortals in the group kept arguing. No, it didn't seem like they were arguing. Yulao, big opening sale. Everyone, our Heavenly Court's clothing store is opening for business. Anyone who purchases our Heavenly Court's clothing store this month will get a 20% discount. If you spend 10,000 yuan, you'll get 300 vouchers. There's also a lucky draw at the end of every month. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I await your arrival respectfully. Yulao had sent this message more than 10 times. When his advertisement finally stopped, Fairy Blue Lotus suddenly popped up once more. Fairy Blue Lotus, the makeup class is about to begin. Do you want your skin to become translucent and translucent? Do you want to become the center of attention like Chang'e? Scan the QR code at the top of the screen to join our beauty and skincare group. Woman, you have always been beautiful. Not long after she sent out the message, the members in the group flooded the screen and pushed it to the top. Even so, many people still applied to join the group. Thunder God entered the group by scanning the QR code. Canopy Marshall entered the group by scanning the QR code. Money God entered this group by scanning the QR code. Barefoot Immortal entered the group by scanning the QR code. Cough cough, they were all men. Thunder God, why are you all here? Canopy Marshall, shouldn't this group be full of girls? What are you animals doing here? Money God, bullshit, aren't we here to see girls as well? The men who entered the group immediately started arguing. But at that moment, someone else entered the group by scanning the QR code. Little Prince entered the group by scanning the QR code. Thunder God and the others were all happy to see a new member in the group. If they weren't mistaken, this self-proclaimed Little Prince guy was probably here to see girls as well. Thunder God, Little Prince bro, you've been tricked too. This group is just a bunch of rough men. Money God, everyone has been tricked by Blue Lotus. Canopy Marshall, sigh, everyone in the group was talking about being tricked. About 5 minutes after entering the group, Little Prince finally sent a message. Little Prince, what are you guys doing here instead of doing your jobs? Don't you want your year-end bonuses anymore? This lecturing tone caused Thunder God and the others to pause. After a while, Money God finally spoke. Money God, is this kid lecturing us? Canopy Marshall, he's got some gut. He dares to lecture us? But looking at his name, it was also a fake name. I took a look at his WeChat moments just now, and it's closed to the public. God of Thunder, are you here to act like an egg? Why are you pretending to be a wolf with a big tail? Year-end bonus. Can you decide our year-end bonus? Barefoot Immortal, interesting. Little Prince, do you know who I am? How dare you talk to me like that? Canopy Marshall, who cares? Who's stronger than me, monkey bro? He even dared to beat up the Jade Emperor. If you have the ability, tell me where you are a god of fortune. That's right. Little brother, look at big brother's position, god of fortune. I'm the one who pays your salary, yet you're threatening me with a year-end bonus. God of Thunder, exactly. Little Prince, Zhao Gongming, I think you don't want to be the head of the 5 gods of wealth anymore. Zhou Leijun, have you had enough of being a general? Do you want me to take back your military power? God of Thunder. Crazy. Did he come here to pretend to be the Jade Emperor? I just don't know who your main account is. If I knew, I would definitely take a screenshot and report it to the Jade Emperor. God of Fortune, don't bother with this trash. He's just here to make his presence known. Brothers, ignore him, let's go and play cards. The members of the group gradually left. God of Thunder and company were indeed very merciless with their words, but since they all held important positions in the heavenly court, they weren't afraid of anyone doing anything to them. All of a sudden, the group turned silent. In order to take care of the little prince's emotions, Yi Zichen thought about it, then sent a message. Don't take it to heart. Actually, they didn't mean what they said. When Yi Zichen didn't see the little prince's reply, he thought that the little prince was sulking. Thus, Yi Zichen left the group, but noticed that someone had added him as a friend. Little Prince has sent you a friend request. Although Yi Zichen didn't know why the little prince added him as a friend, but if he could add someone from the heavenly court, then wouldn't the system be letting him earn more intimacy level? Yes. Their initial intimacy level was friendly, which Yi Zichen was already used to. Only idealism. Your name is only idealism? The little prince sent a message. Although it wasn't a voice message, for some reason, Yi Zichen could still feel his superior attitude. What is it? Who told you to use that name? There's something wrong with this person. Yi Zichen couldn't help but roll his eyes in his heart. What does my name have to do with this brat? What's more, I didn't even say anything when this brat called me Little Prince. Why do you care so much? Seriously, God of Thunder and company are scolding you, you're truly born with a brain that gets scolded. Slap. Yi Zichen deleted the friend request and exited the app. Chapter 499. Arriving at the central continent, a group of people stood outside the Tiango clan. Among them, Lil White stood beside Yi Zichen with sleepy eyes and yawned continuously. Boss, why are you in such a hurry to go to the Nine-Tail Fox clan? Can't you let me sleep a bit more? In order to celebrate Su Yan's birthday well, Yi Zichen had already woken Lil White up. Under Yi Zichen's forceful dragging, Lil White told White Shark that he was going to the Nine-Tail Fox clan. White Shark immediately called 10 odd clan retainers to protect Lil White without saying anything else. Why are you asking so much? Just take me there. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes, then glanced at Suemo with a frown. I thought that I set off secretly enough, but I was still discovered by this woman. No matter what he said, Suemo was going to follow. I can't tell anything yet, but I don't know how to explain it to Su Yan. What's more, I'm not afraid of anything else, but I'm afraid of fighting. Young master, the spatial wormhole has been set up. An opening that looked like a dimensional rift had appeared behind the guest chamberlain. The rift was constantly devouring the surrounding spiritual power, and it seemed like it was going to collapse soon. What's this for? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Lil White shrugged with a smile. It's about the same as a portal. We don't belong to the same continent as the Nine-Tail Fox clan, so the fastest way to get to them is through this spatial rift. Alright, it's safe. Yi Zichen treasured his life a bit. He didn't want to die in there without knowing anything. What are you afraid of? Even if something happens, there's still so many of us with you. With that, Lil White hooked his arm around Yi Zichen's shoulder and stepped into the spatial rift. The others followed closely behind. When everyone entered the rift, the dimensional rift gradually disappeared from the Tiango clan's territory. At the central continent, as the center of the 5 continents, the central continent was naturally the center of trade and economy. It was also a place where all sorts of people were mixed together. A spatial rift suddenly appeared outside a majestic city, and Yi Zichen, Lil White and company walked out side by side. Although the rift looked rather dangerous, as if it was about to collapse, the inside was actually much safer than the outside. This is the central continent? Little White looked around curiously. Don't be fooled by the way he spoke, as if he knew everything. But this was also the first time he had left the Tiango clan and seen the outside world. Yes. The foreign chamberlain beside him replied respectfully. Xiaobai grinned and quickly ran toward the direction of the town. Unlike Maple City, there was no need to pay a fee to enter the city. From time to time, peddlers would call out their wares, and all sorts of half-beastmen shuttled through the streets. You guys are free to do whatever you want. I'll walk around here with boss for a while. The guest chamberlain was a little hesitant. When they came, clan leader Bai had clearly ordered them to protect the young master, and not to leave his side. Alright, let Hell King follow me. The rest of you don't need to follow me. Otherwise, with so many people following behind, it would be even more eye-catching. Xiao Bai frowned. The jail king couldn't help but nod. Young master is right. You guys shouldn't follow us. If you're worried, you can protect him in secret. But with me around, no one can hurt young master. Since the jail king said that, the guest chamberlain beside him could only nod after a brief hesitation. Seeing that all the annoying people around him had left, Xiao Bai pursed his lips and started to walk around the town curiously. Originally, Yi Zichen had wanted to directly go to Su Yan's place after arriving. However, he didn't say anything when he saw that both Xiao Bai and Zuomo were very interested in walking around. Approximately an hour later, a pile of food appeared in Xiao Bai's hands, while a scarf made of unknown fur appeared around Zuomo's neck. Hey, this doll is pretty cute. Xiao Bai ran over excitedly with a skewer in his hand. Xiao Bai, who was holding a skewer in his hand, ran over excitedly. The owner of the stall was a young girl. Her strength was around the level of a spiritual body. On top of her head were 2 snow-white ears. Boss, how much is this doll? Xiao Bai stopped and smiled. When the girl saw Yi Zichen and company, she quickly lowered her head and replied respectfully. 2 Yao coins, sire. Actually, it wasn't that Yi Zichen and company, it was mainly because they were all in human form. Those that were able to take human form were normally Yao beasts with extremely high statuses. There would always be people at the bottom of society, especially in a place like the Central Continent. If they wanted to survive, then they had to be careful. As for the possibility that they were merchants from the Immortal region, she didn't dare to offend them. The merchants from the Immortal region that came to trade all had many experts around them. Even if they wanted to rob her of her small business, she didn't dare to resist. Did you make this rabbit yourself? Xiao Bai picked up a little rabbit doll from the stall, and the girl quickly replied, Yes. Jail King, give her 100 Yao coins. Xiao Bai picked up the rabbit with a giggle, then muttered, Take it back and give it to Lil Ing. She'll definitely like it. Here. The Jail King took out 100 demon coins from his pocket and handed it over, causing the girl to reveal an uneasy expression. The girl revealed a hint of nervousness. Sire, I don't have the change for that much. No need, this 100 Yao coins is for the doll. Xiao Bai giggled, then put the doll away into his spatial bracelet. The girl looked at the coin in her hand, overwhelmed by the favor. Jail King smiled faintly at the side. Jail King also smiled. Since young master gave it to you, just keep it. Thank you so much, the girl continuously thanked him. The Yao coins might not be much for Xiao Bai, but it was a huge sum for a Yao like her, who worked hard to earn money. You're too polite, Xiao Bai smiled. Sis, at that moment, a sobbing voice sounded out from behind them. The girl, who was holding the Yao coin tightly, looked up. When she saw who it was, the Yao coin dropped onto the ground with a ding. Little brother, what happened to you? Only then did Yi Zichen and company, who were about to leave, saw a young man with 2 snow-white ears on his head. His eyes were pitch black, while his mouth and body were covered in blood. At the same time, a well-dressed young man walked out from behind him. He smiled at the girl, who was hugging the young man, and raised his eyebrows. Chapter 500. Black Fox Zhen Ingjuan be obedient. An indescribable bitter smile appeared on the corners of Lin Shui's mouth as she knelt on the ground and hugged her younger brother. She bit her lips tightly and raised her head, and the space between her brows was filled with unwillingness. Her original form was that of a snow rabbit, one of the lowliest races in the Endless Beast region. Before they could transform, they were still in danger of being eaten. When she was still in the form of a rabbit, she desperately cultivated in order to survive. Now that she was finally able to transform into a basic human form, she thought that her fate had been changed by her efforts. Only then did he realize that his life of darkness had just begun. Because of her lowly birth, she had to obediently listen to the heirs of a large family. Since he had taken a liking to her, She had to be willing to be a concubine in his residence. She was indignant. But what could she do, even if she was unwilling? She had resisted and escaped, but now, she was still found by this man, wasn't she? She did not blame her birth, she only blamed fate. All right, I'll be obedient. After a few futile attempts at resistance, her final stubbornness faded away. She lowered her head and smiled bitterly in resignation. Wouldn't it have been better if you had done this earlier? Be a concubine of my Jeune family. Your future days will be much better than setting up a stall on the ground. The young man smiled sinisterly and grabbed Lin Shui's chin with his fingers. Bang! At that moment, Zuemo suddenly raised her leg and kicked the youth away. How dare you! At this moment, Zuemo looked up and glanced at them. A frightening chill rose from the soles of the thug's feet, causing them to freeze in place, not daring to move an inch. She then ran in front of Lin Shui and frowned. How can you just give up like this? If you give up now, what will you do in the future? Sometimes, women actually understood women better. When Yi Zichen and company saw Lin Shui's expression, they only felt pity for her. Driven by pity, they might help the girl solve this problem. However, Zuemo was different. She could see much deeper than these men. If you marry someone you don't like, you won't be happy your entire life. Since you hate this guy, you can't say yes to him. Even if he had the strength and status, so what? He didn't get it himself. He still had to rely on his family to show off. One's identity was innate, but one's destiny was in their own hands. A girl should be strong when it's time to be strong. Why should you give up just like that? Well said. The young man walked over. When he saw Zuemo's face, he raised his eyebrows and smiled. I wonder which family this lady is from. I'm Zhen Ingjun, a mid-level divine beast of the Black Fox clan. I don't care if you're really handsome or just faking it. Get out of here before I make a move on you. Zuemo's eyes were filled with indifference. She hated men who bullied women. I like this shrewish temper. Zhen Ingjun smiled in a feminine manner. At the same time, the man beside him whispered something into his ear. Soon, he nodded at the man with a faint smile. Human, and here I thought you were the young mistress of some family. But since it's a human, it'll be easier. With that, the thugs behind him instantly surrounded Zuemo. This is the Beast region, not a place where you humans can behave atrociously. I'll give you a choice. Come back with me to have some fun, or die here and I'll feed you to the wild beasts after I'm done playing with you. Brother, you really have a heavy taste. Yi Zichen walked over with a smile, then put his right hand on his shoulder with a snort. Can't you tell that I'm annoyed by you? Just stop messing around here, alright? Who are you? Me? I'm also a human. Yi Zichen shrugged with a smile. True Handsome immediately revealed a look of disgust, then shook Yi Zichen's arm away with a snort. I was wondering why there were so many high-level divine beasts here. It seems like you are a human merchant group. Are you with that woman? Yi Zichen nodded. Then I'm really sorry, but you can't take this woman away. If you don't want your caravan to be stuck in the central continent, you'd better run away with your tail between your legs. Is that so? Pa Yi Zichen suddenly grabbed Zhen Ingjun's throat the moment he let his guard down. The fighters around Zhen Ingjun were all shocked. They quickly changed targets and surrounded Zhen Ingjun. You dare to kill me? The central continent is the territory of the Fox Yaos. If you dare to touch even a single strand of my hair, then don't even think about walking out of the central continent alive, Zhen Ingjun threatened. Zhen Ingjun threatened him, but his voice was trembling. He wasn't certain whether the person in front of him would kill him or not. He had heard from the elders of his clan that there were merchants that came to the central continent with the mindset of getting lucky, but there were also truly ruthless people. Threatening me? I hate it when people threaten me the most. Crack. Yi Zichen instantly twisted Zhen Ingjun's arm, causing him to let out a heart-wrenching scream. At the same time, the surrounding fighters also warned him. Let young Master Zhen go. Wouldn't I lose a lot of face if I let him go just because you told me to? Yi Zichen rolled his eyes in annoyance. However, the fighters spoke up. I know you guys want to stand up for that girl, but if you dare to touch our young Master Zhen, then don't blame us for making a move on that girl's family. Despicable. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes angrily. At that moment, Zhen Yingjun also smiled. Yeah. That's right, if you dare to kill me, I'll kill you. If you don't want anything to happen to them, then hurry up and let me go. Then how do I know that you won't do anything to them if I let you go? I can swear to the Eastern Monarch that if you let me go now, then I won't cause any trouble for Lin Shui or her family and clansmen. Yi Zichen looked towards Lil White. When he saw Jail King nod, he let go of Zhen Yingjun. However, before he did so, he twisted Zhen Yingjun's other arm into a twist. Yi Zichen glanced towards Little White. When he saw Jail King nod, he let go of Zhen Yingjun. However, before he did so, he twisted Zhen Yingjun's other arm. F***ck off. If Laozi sees you again, then you're in for it. I'll remember you. Let's go. Zhen Yingjun hurriedly left with his people with his arms dangling. Lin Shui, who wanted to thank Yi Zichen, suddenly saw her little brother cough intensely. Every time he coughed, he would spit out a mouthful of blood. Lin Shui was about to cry when she saw that. God knows just how evil that scum Zhen Yingjun was. From the looks of it, the young man clearly doesn't look like he's going to live for long. Lin Shui was already panicking. Only her little brother was with her in this foreign land. She subconsciously wanted to send her little brother to a nearby clinic, but whenever she tried to help him up, the young man would spit out a mouthful of blood. Gradually, the young man's body became smaller and smaller, until he turned into a snow-white rabbit. This was the sign of a Yao's spiritual energy dissipating and about to die. Seeing that, Lin Shui cried even harder. However, at that moment, Yi Zichen walked over. Let me see. Chapter 501. How about you teach me pill refinement? Yi Zichen touched the snow rabbit. Spiritual beasts are truly similar to pets in the modern realm. The only difference was that there was demonic aura lingering in their bodies. It was fortunate that it was a spiritual beast. If it was a normal modern realm pet, it would have died a long time ago. Its meridians were in a mess, and its organs were displaced. It seems like Zhen Yingjun truly wanted to kill it. The reason why the snow rabbit was able to run over was because it wanted to tell its older sister to run. My little brother, Wait a moment, I have to find an expert. With that, Yi Zichen told Lil White to use Yao's spiritual energy to stabilize the snow rabbit, then took out his phone to find old Lord Taishang. Geezer, do you have any spiritual pills that can heal Yao beasts? Give me several tens of bottles. Are you crazy? Old Lord Taishang instantly replied. Are you really treating this old man as your medicine warehouse? You can just come to me for any pills you want. Then what do you think I should do? You're the only pill refiner I know. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth. I wouldn't have come to find you if I knew someone else. How about you teach me pill refinement? I heard that pill refiners are pretty amazing in the three realms. If I can get pill refinement from old Lord Taishang, then I'll be in trouble. You want to learn pill refinement? Yes. No way. Old Lord Taishang frowned and replied. Old Lord Taishang raised his eyebrows and replied on the phone screen, those who want to learn alchemy from me, who doesn't kowtow 3 times and bow 9 times to acknowledge me as their master. Only by following this old man for 3,000 years can you learn pill refinement. Oh, then I won't learn it. You provide me with pills. This geezer is rather devious. He wants me to be his servant for 3,000 years, what a joke. You brat, no. Old Lord Taishang also lost his temper. Yi Zichen quickly replied, Stop messing around, my life is at stake. Hurry up and send me the pills. I'll get you Lao to give you 2 sets of sexy lingerie for your wife to wear. F***ck off. A bunch of angry emojis instantly filled the screen. At the same time, a red packet also appeared on the screen. Po. You received Old Lord Taishang's red packet. Recovery Pill X1 Demon Spirit Recovery Pill. Earth Rank 3 Beast Core. Refined from an Earth Rank 3 Beast Core. Thanks. Yi Zichen sent Old Lord Taishang a few kiss emojis, then took out the pill and stuffed it into the rabbit's mouth. Help him absorb the demon spirit core, then he should be fine. About an hour later, the snow rabbit gradually transformed back into the handsome young man. When he transformed, he was still wearing a white robe. Yi Zichen couldn't help but mutter to himself. Could their clothes have been transformed from hair? If it was winter, it would be able to withstand the cold. Sister. The young man lying on the ground opened his eyes and his weak cries reached Lin Shue's ears, causing her entire body to glow with a strange light. After carefully checking to see if he felt any discomfort, she knelt in front of Yi Zichen. My lord, you saved my life. Lin Shui has no way to repay you, so I can only. Don't think about repaying me with your body. He can't have any more women by his side. Zuoremo walked over with a smile. No, Lin Shui doesn't dare to hope for that. Lin Shui just wants to be my lord's servant in order to repay this favor. Lin Shui shook her head repeatedly. Lin Shui continuously shook her head. Yi Zichen sighed, then helped her up with a smile. It was nothing, don't mind it too much. How can I do that? Then follow me from now on, Zuoremo smiled. I won't be at ease if you follow him. Follow me from now on, no one will dare to bully you. Then can my little brother come with me? As for him, Zuoremo squinted her eyes and frowned. I don't like men I'm not familiar with appearing by my side. How about I let him follow Yi Zichen? Zuoremo actually said that out of selfishness. If the young man followed Yi Zichen, then she would have an excuse to find Yi Zichen in the future. Lil White, take care of this young man from now on. No problem. Xiaobai grinned and walked to the side of the white-robed youth, who still had not figured out the situation. She smiled and said, In the future you will follow Lord White. You will have a good life. If anyone dares to bully you, tell Lord White. I will definitely support you. Okay. A day passed by in the blink of an eye. Yi Zichen and company stayed in the city for another night, then hurried over to the Nine-Tailed Fox clan's territory the next morning. During this period, Lin Shui and Lin Li also became more familiar with them. Especially Lin Shui and Zuoremo, they were like sisters. Of course, Lin Shui wasn't stupid enough to think that they were sisters. She still had to abide by the rules of seniority. The Nine-Tailed Fox clan. The birthday banquet of the clan's third miss could be said to be a celebration for the entire clan. The main reason was that the third miss, who had just ascended, was greatly favored by the other two misses in the clan. The clansmen of the central continent arrived one after another, each holding a red invitation card in their hands. Big Brother Zichen, we don't have invitations. Little White blinked. They were now standing in front of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan city gates, waiting dumbly. We'll get one soon. Don't worry. Yi Zichen had already sent Su Yan a message when they arrived, and Su Yan replied that she would come out to get them later. I really didn't expect you to have connections with the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. Yi Zichen, are you really someone from the Immortal region? Zuoremo couldn't help but raise her eyebrows. It was one thing for Yi Zichen to be related to the Tiango clan. After all, she knew that Yi Zichen was from the Sacred Land, so it was understandable for someone from the Sacred Land to have connections in the Beast region. However, the Tiango, the Nine-Tailed Fox, and the Fire Phoenix, they were all peak powers. Yi Zichen actually knew all of them. Oh wow, it really is a small world. I actually bumped into you guys here. A discordant snicker sounded out. When everyone turned around, they saw Zhen Yingjun walk towards them with a playful smile. As for his injuries, they had already healed. Since the Black Fox clan was one of the Fox Yaos, it was natural for them to have that sort of ability. Look at your annoying look. Are you asking for a beating? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, causing Zhen Yingjun to subconsciously take a step back in fright. However, he quickly snorted with a mocking expression. You want to scare me in our Fox Yao's territory? Lil bro, you bumped into someone familiar? A man with a shoehorn face appeared behind Zhen Yingjun as he mocked Yi Zichen. The man wore a long black robe with a furry collar coupled with his shoehorn face. Familiar? Bro, don't joke around. My arm was hit by these grandsons yesterday. Zhen Yingjun was like a bullied little bean bun getting beaten up by his parents. Take back what you said just now, or else die. Jail King took a step forward. His terrifying aura caused both Zhen Yingjun and the man beside him to raise their eyebrows. Very soon, the man walked in front of Yi Zichen with a smile and reached out his hand. Chapter 502. Inviolable Gloriahem. Yi Zichen couldn't help but blink when he heard their self-introduction, while Lil White couldn't help but laugh. So amazing! This name is truly amazing. Bro, what's there to know about them? Zhen Yingjun saw that his brother didn't help him get revenge, and instead went to introduce himself. Thus, his expression turned a bit ugly. Yingjun. Zhen Nyobi squinted his eyes. The people in front of him were clearly not people to be messed with. Being able to take human form in the Endless Beast region represented their identity and status. In his impression, his little brother wasn't such an insensible person. Brother, do you still not understand? This group of people is actually a human caravan. Otherwise, why would they be standing here? They clearly want to get involved with us, the Fox Yaos, but they can't enter without an invitation. Zhen Yingjun snorted in disdain. Zhen Yingjun snorted in disdain. Monsters from big races like them didn't care about human caravans at all. It was like how locals looked at outsiders. No matter how strong you are, you're still an outsider in my eyes. Humans? Zhen Nyobi was momentarily stunned, then quickly revealed a look of disdain on his face. Humans? Then what's the point of bullshitting with them? It's actually a human merchant group. I thought they were from a certain family. Since they are humans, then we have a lot to talk about. Zhen Nyobi twisted his neck and raised his eyebrows. You hit my little brother. How are you going to pay for it? The sudden change in attitude caused Yi Zichen and company to be rather speechless. Yi Zichen shrugged. I hit him. So what do you want me to do? What? I, Zhen Nyobi, am rather amazing in the central continent. The glory of the Black Fox Yaos is inviolable. I heard that you human merchant groups are rather rich. Compensate my little brother 50 million Yao coins, then kneel down and apologize to my little brother. Ugh. Ha 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 ha, Yi Zichen suddenly couldn't help but laugh. Seeing that, Zhen Yingjun raised his eyebrows. Bro, look, why is he laughing? He definitely got scared by my dominating aura, Zhen Nyobi snorted proudly. Zhen Nyobi snorted proudly and said, in the central continent, no one dares to show off in front of me, Zhen Nyobi. I'll avenge you later. At that time, not only will I make him pay, I'll also make him lose face. As soon as he finished speaking, he put his hands on his waist and took 2 steps forward, raising his chin and snorting arrogantly. Kid, don't think that I'll let you off just because you put on such a pitiful face. Cough, you must be joking. Yi Zichen cracked his neck, then glanced at Zhen Yingjun's table. Laozi hasn't been able to properly stretch out ever since I came to the 3 realms. Since you guys are so thick-skinned and want to get beaten up, I'll satisfy you. He hooked his finger at them, and Zhen Yingjun immediately came over. Brother! Humph, you're still pretending to be an idiot. Everyone attack. We must beat this brat into submission. Let him know that the honor of our Black Fox Demon clan cannot be violated. Zhen Nyobi and Zhen Yingjun charged over with the people behind them, while Yi Zichen merely stood there with a faint smile. Bang, bang, bang. In mere moments, Zhen Yingjun, Zhen Nyobi and the clansmen behind them were all beaten black and blue as they laid on the ground. Cocky? Yi Zichen squatted down in front of the 2 brothers with his hands in his pockets, then slapped Zhen Nyobi. Are you still cocky or not? Brat, you cheated! Zenyobi shouted angrily as he laid on the ground. They all thought that the one who wanted to fight them was Yizichin, but none of them expected it to be Jail King and the guest chamberlains who came with Lil White. All of them were complete stage human immortal and sky immortal level experts. No matter how cocky Zenyobi was, they had to beat him up until he wasn't cocky. I didn't say that I was going to fight you guys one-on-one, right? Yizichin smiled, then patted Zenyobi's face. Don't call me Zenyobi from now on. Just call me Bunyobi, got it? This is the territory of the Foxyaos, you dare bang. Yizichin kicked Zenyobi's stomach, then squinted his eyes and twitched his mouth, then put his hand beside his ear. What did you say just now? I'm hard of hearing, so I couldn't hear you clearly. I said, this is a Foxyao. Bang. What did you say? Foxyao bang. What did you say? After repeating this 6 or 7 times, Zenyobi finally shut up and stopped mentioning the Foxyao's territory. Yizichin also stopped bullying him. Are you still cocky? Nope, nope, nope. Nope, nope, nope. Zenyobi continuously shook his head. Yizichin squinted his eyes with a smile. The honor of the Black Foxyaos is inviolable? Do as you please. Zenyobi replied with a coy smile. Only then did Yizichin nod in satisfaction. He lifted his foot off Zenyobi's back and slowly walked in front of Zhen Yingjun. Big bro, I'm Bu Yingjun. I'm not handsome at all. Look at my face, it's already like this. Zhen Yingjun didn't want to get beaten up anymore. He instantly softened when he saw his older brother get beaten up so viciously. Bang. What greeted him was a merciless kick. Did I ask you a question? Just speak. Are you trying to show off your high IQ? Did you learn how to answer first? No, no. Zhen Yingjun repeatedly shook his head with a forced smile. Bang. Yizichin kicked him again. Zhen Yingjun, who was kicked, muttered pitifully, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. Why did you kick me again? I just want to kick you when I see you like that. Is there a problem? Yizichin smiled playfully with his hands in his pockets. Zhen Yingjun quickly shook his head with a sullen expression. There's no problem at all. Although that was what he said, he was calculating when the people from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan would arrive. The Black Foxyaos were the subordinates of the Nine-Tailed Fox. Although they didn't have a particularly high status, they were still part of the Foxyaos, so the Nine-Tailed Fox clan couldn't just ignore them. Plenty of other clansmen who came to attend the birthday party also noticed the situation. Confusion surfaced in their eyes when they saw that someone from the Black Fox clan was bullied. Beating up a lackey in the boss's territory. That's a slap to the face. However, since the people from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan hadn't arrived yet, they didn't know how the situation would change after a while. As long as there's no problem, Yizichin smiled, then reached out his hand towards Zhen Yingjun. Zhen Yingjun thought that Yizichin was going to hit him, so he quickly covered his face and lowered his head. Yizichin couldn't help but shake his head with a smile when he saw his comical look, then kicked him. Don't cover your face, Lousy doesn't want to hit you right now. Come, give me your invitations. You won't be able to enter even if I give it to you, Zhen Yingjun replied with a sullen expression. Yizichin instantly frowned. Why do you have so much bullshit to say? Do you want to get beaten up? No, 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 I'll give it to with that. Zhen Yingjun took out the invitation. Chapter 503. I'm your third sister. The moment the Zhen brothers saw the newcomer, their faces lit up with joy. All this time, they had been waiting for this woman to appear. Clan leader Su, you're finally here, Zenyobi said with a sullen face. That brat's attack just now was extremely vicious, and he had beaten him up so badly that he wished he were dead. However, he didn't dare to say anything because the other party had a ruthless person. Now that a ruthless person had appeared, he had to regain his face. This guy doesn't put us fox demons in his eyes at all. I already said I'm from the Fox Demon clan, but look at how he beat me up. The two brothers were like children who had been beaten up and were snitching to their parents. The foxy woman in the blue dress descended from the sky. Seeing this scene, many of the other clansmen who came to attend the birthday party looked over. The main character had arrived. It seemed like the show was about to begin. You said they beat you? Lan Kun's long and narrow eyes narrowed. Her every movement revealed endless coldness, but it was extremely alluring. Yes. The Jeune brothers lowered their heads. They didn't dare to look him in the eyes. He was afraid that as long as he saw her face, he could not help but have other thoughts in his heart. Humph! With a light snort, he tossed the invitation card in his hand to Zhen Nyobi. Take the invitation and quickly go in. Don't embarrass our Fox Yao clan. No one expected the blue-dressed woman to do such a thing. The Jeune brothers were startled, but they didn't dare to refute her. They picked up the invitation from the ground and hurried into the capital city of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. You're Yi Zichen? As she spoke, the woman in the blue dress walked over. Her eyes were filled with a piercingly cold aura. Yes. Yi Zichen replied seriously. The woman glanced at him, then snorted. If it weren't for my little sister's face, you would already be dead. Since it's your first time in the central continent, I'll spare you this once. If you do it again, you will be severely punished. As soon as she finished speaking, she turned around and snorted. Come in. She walked towards the city without even looking back. Yi Zichen glanced at her in confusion, then prepared to follow. But after taking a few steps, he realized that no one was with him. Only then did he notice that the people behind him were all stunned. Pretty sister. Xiaobai kept murmuring. This woman is truly beautiful, Zuemo couldn't help but comment, her eyes filled with infatuation. That's Su Luer, the head of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. It's rumored that the Nine-Tailed Fox clan of the Endless Beast region produces many beauties, especially the two clan heads, who are incomparably beautiful. Now that I've seen them in person, I can tell that they're truly a beauty of a generation. No wonder one of the 4 spiritual monkeys went to such an earth-shattering commotion just for her. Fatty Hell King couldn't help but shake his head in admiration. The reason why Yu Yang's every move was so alluring was because of Yu Yang. That was the innate seduction technique of the Fox Yaos. However, Su Luer wasn't master's seduction technique, and the fatty wasn't weak, so he naturally wouldn't fall for it. However, from the looks of it, Xiaobai and Zuemo must have fallen for the fox's charm. It was the same for the other guest chamberlains. However, Yi Zichen was rather curious as to why he wasn't affected. Hurry up, I don't have much time to waste with you. Su Luer frowned, but when she saw that Yi Zichen was completely fine, she felt a bit strange. When he heard that, Yi Zichen hurriedly patted Little White and Zuemo's bodies. Only then did he wake them up and walk over. However, when she saw Zuemo by Yi Zichen's side, she snorted coolly. This is the man my little sister likes, humph. Entering the Nine-Tailed Fox clan's capital city, he found that it was just like any other capital city. There were many shops on the outskirts of the city. In the center of the city, there was an ancient tree that towered into the clouds. Around this ancient tree was the habitat of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. Su Luo led them into the city, then disappeared without a trace. Just as Yi Zichen was considering following the other clans, his eyes were suddenly blindfolded. Guess who I am? Her voice was a little rough, but even so, it couldn't hide the cuteness of her tone. Kiki, stop fooling around. Yi Zichen raised his hand and grabbed her hands. When he turned around, he saw Xia Kiki pouting unhappily. How did you figure it out so quickly? Do you think I'm an idiot? Yi Zichen rolled his eyes. However, at that moment, Zuemo squinted her eyes and walked over with hostility. She frowned and asked, Who is she? Who is she? Xia Kiki also spoke at the same time. I'm asking you, who are you? What right do you have to cover his eyes with your hands? He could only say that Zuemo was very domineering as usual. I understand, you're my Zichenji's new concubine, right? Humph, you're still so arrogant after joining the sect. Let me tell you, if we're going by the order, I'm your third sister. Come, smile for your third sister. Similarly, this answer suited Xia Kiki very well. The moment the two women met, the smell of gunpowder filled the air. Yi Zichen shook his head with a sigh. He already expected this to happen. He raised his hand and patted Xia Kiki's shoulder. Don't spout nonsense. She's different from you guys. She's one of the better partners I've had since I came to the Three Realms. I see. Xia Kiki pouted and shrugged. In the end, she's not even a concubine, yet she's still so arrogant. Then, she pouted and snorted, be more obedient in the future. Be more obedient in the future. Don't tell me that you haven't married yet. After you do, Susu and I are your seniors. If you don't listen, then I'll tell Zichenji to divorce you. Xia Kiki raised her head proudly, then hooked her arm around Yi Zichen's. Zichenji, let's go and see Susu. Then, she dragged Yi Zichen away. The dragon maids who came with Xia Kiki were completely shocked. Xia Kiki dragged Yi Zichen away. The dragon maidservant who came with Xia Kiki was completely shocked. From what she said, it seems like the Nine-Tailed Fox clan's third young lady has something going on with this man. From what she said, it seems like the Nine-Tailed Fox clan's third young lady has something going on with this man. They quickly shook their heads and forgot about their conversation. They were women, so they didn't dare to know too much about gossip. At the same time, Xia Kiki clenched her teeth in anger. She clenched her fist and walked in front of Lil White. Lil White knew that things were going to get bad, so he quickly looked up at the sky. Oh wow, the sky of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan is blue. Little fellow, don't pretend with me. Tell me the truth, just how many women does Yi Zichen have by his side? Zuermo squinted her eyes and frowned. Lil White raised a hand when he saw her expression. 5? Zuermo opened her eyes wide. Chapter 504. The true purpose of the birthday party, second sis. Isn't this just a normal birthday party? Why did you make me dress up for so long? Su Yen couldn't help but raise her eyebrows as she looked at the woman in the mirror. She desperately wanted to go out, because she knew that Yi Zichen had already arrived. Don't worry, I already told Su Luer to go and pick up the person you want to see. The woman behind her smiled, then continuously caressed Su Yan's shoulder-length hair. The woman behind her smiled faintly, her fingers continuously stroking Su Yan's shoulder-length hair. She was none other than the second clan leader of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan, Su Zhu. Su Yan, who was sitting on the chair, suddenly stood up and turned around. She looked at Su Zhu in shock and raised her eyebrows. Big sis went. Why are you so shocked? Su Zhu pressed Su Yan back onto the dressing table with a smile. That boy should be the one you like, right? Second sis. Su Yan's face suddenly blushed, and she did not say anything. However, at that very moment, another person walked into Su Yan's room. What was shocking was that the person who came in looked exactly the same as Su Zhu, and even wore the same clothes. Lil Yan, why aren't you? Who are you? Second sis. Su Yan also turned around. When she saw the woman in the room, she was also shocked. She subconsciously looked at the woman behind her, and the woman at the door. 2 seconds sis. Lil Yan, come over here. Su Zhu frowned, then spoke up. At the door, Su Zhu frowned and said, Who are you? Why did you change into my appearance? Just what are your intentions? Hurry up and reveal your true form. We, the Nine-Tailed Fox clan, are not to be trifled with. Lil Zhu Lil sis, that's interesting. In the Endless Beast region, who else can change into someone else's appearance, and not even your Nine-Tailed Fox clan can tell? With that, the woman behind Su Yan turned into a tiger-toothed monkey, who was wearing a golden armor and holding a peach in his hand. It's actually you. What did you come here for? Su Zhu's nervous expression also calmed down. From a certain perspective, the monkey in front of her could be considered as one of them. Of course I'm here for my third brother. This. Xiao Zhu, you should understand. The monkey chuckled. Su Zhu's face also suddenly flashed a strange smile. She walked up to Su Yen and raised her eyebrows. Don't worry. Lil Yen, go find Big Sister Lu. Leave this place to me. Remember, don't tell Big Sister Lu. This is our secret. Alright. Su Yen nodded in a daze, then left the room. Su Zhu rubbed her hands excitedly with a smile on her face. As early as half a month ago, that monkey contacted me, but he said a bunch of inexplicable things. You're here again. Tell me, what kind of ruckus is he up to this time? Su Yen immediately sent Yi Zichen a message after leaving the room. Yi Zichen, who was walking around with Xia Kiki, felt his phone vibrate, so he quickly took it out, Su Yan's. After replying, he opened his social media app to look at her messages. At the same time, he sent his location over. Is Su coming over later? Yes. Yi Zichen nodded with a smile, then looked at the surrounding guests with a frown. Don't you feel like the atmosphere here is very strange? Where? Xia Kiki raised her eyebrows in confusion. The young men from the families you're looking at are all men around Su Yan's age. Isn't that normal? The clan wants the younger generation to show their faces. Xia Kiki raised her eyebrows and replied. However, Yi Zichen shook his head with a frown. Something's wrong. If it's really the younger generation, then why are there so few females? Look, there's practically no young girls here, they're all males. What's more, when the males meet each other, there's a hint of hostility. Really? Xia Kiki couldn't help but nod after taking a few glances. You probably don't know about this, but these people are all here to kidnap the bride. At that moment, a man with a peach in his hand appeared beside them. Bride kidnapping? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Isn't this a birthday party? What does it have to do with bride kidnapping? This birthday party is actually a cover. Its true purpose is to find a husband for the Nine-Tailed Fox's third young mistress. Otherwise, why else would so many young talents come? There are plenty of people who came from other continents. As he spoke, the man had already finished a peach, and he took out another one from somewhere. Susu actually didn't tell me. Xia Kiki opened her eyes wide in shock. Yi Zichen shook his head. It's very possible that she didn't even know about this sort of arrangement. It's very likely that she doesn't even know about this arrangement. But where did you get this information from? How hard is that? The man's eyes were filled with information as he raised his eyebrows. From the looks of it, you guys don't seem to know? Then why did you come? To kidnap the bride. Yi Zichen grinned. His strange grin made the man laugh in return. At that very moment, he noticed that Yi Zichen's fist was swinging towards him. The man quickly blocked Yi Zichen's fist with a frown. Bro, what are you doing? You should be my competitor since you came, right? One less competitor means that I have a higher chance of winning. Yi Zichen smiled playfully. Yi Zichen smiled playfully. The man's eyes suddenly lit up. Hey, great minds think alike. How about we work together? Work together? I didn't come for the Su family's third young mistress. I feel like we can work together. What do you mean? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. The man also moved closer to Yi Zichen's ear and muttered. You like her? Sure. The man quickly covered Yi Zichen's mouth with a frown. What are you yelling for? It's going to be bad if someone hears you. Surprise, just pure surprise. Yi Zichen smiled coyly. It was truly because this guy's information was too shocking. Otherwise, he wouldn't have yelled so loudly. What do you want to do? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. There's definitely no problem on my side, it's mainly you. The man hooked his arm around Yi Zichen's neck and whispered a few words into his ear. Very quickly, Yi Zichen and Xia Kiki looked at each other, then revealed a faint evil smile. AI. He will do as you say. With that, Yi Zichen took out his phone and handed it over to Xia Kiki, who was confused. I'll leave the phone with you. I'll be back soon. Then, he raised his eyebrows towards the man. Do it now. Chapter 505. Water Curtain Cave of Flowers and Fruits. Dong Dong. The people in the Nine-Tailed Fox clan's kitchen inexplicably fell down. Suddenly, two people with red veils drilled into the room through the window. What if you knock them all down? Both of us won't be able to handle it. What are you panicking for? I have my own arrangements. Then quickly give me the medicine. The two of them cautiously ran to the stove, where they were making the food that the Nine-Tailed Fox clan had invited to the banquet. Be quick with your hands and feet. Hurry up and pour all 20 packets in. This isn't poison, right? What poison? This is a laxative. Hurry up and pour it out. Where did this little thief come from? How dare he come to my Nine-Tailed Fox clan to poison us? A playful smile suddenly appeared in the kitchen. The two people who were sprinkling laxatives froze, slowly turning around. When they saw the people in the kitchen, one of them let out a long sigh of relief, pulled down the veil and ridiculed. Xiao Zhu, you scared me to death. The one who spoke was the man who had agreed to work with Yi Zichen earlier. Their plan was very simple, it was to poison Yi Zichen. When that happens, Yi Zichen and I will naturally win without a fight. More importantly, Yi Zichen was happy to see his competitors suddenly want to run to the toilet when they were showing off. I have a guilty conscience. Su Zhu pursed her lips, then arched her eyebrows at Yi Zichen. Who's that guy beside you? He has an ally? Of course, this little brother is a like-minded person like me. It's rare to find someone who shares the same ideals as you. Su Zhu curled her lips mockingly, then raised her eyebrows and said, Then you two can continue. I'm looking forward to your big show. Watch and see. The man waved towards her with a smile. Just as he and Yi Zichen were about to continue poisoning, Big Sister Luer, why are you here? The bodies of the two people who were in the midst of poisoning froze once more, while Yi Zichen looked towards his partner in confusion. What to do? Wouldn't he be caught? Meanwhile, outside the kitchen. Why is it so slow? It's almost time. Su Luer frowned. I just checked. It's more or less done, said Su Zhu with a nervous smile. She reached out to drag Su Luer away. Even if she couldn't drag her away, Su Zhu had to buy time for the people inside. No, I have to remind them again. Su Luer ignored Su Zhu's words and insisted on entering the kitchen. Su Zhu was extremely nervous, but when they arrived at the kitchen, the staff in the kitchen were still busy with their work. It seemed that they didn't know what had just happened. Su Zhu let out a long sigh of relief. As expected, nothing would go wrong with the monkey. She raised her eyebrows, then left the kitchen. Su Luer also frowned. Hurry up. It won't be good if we miss the auspicious hour. After giving her a few reminders, she turned around and found that Su Zhu had already left. When did Xiao Zhu leave? Kiki, where's Yi Zichen? When Su Yan, who had come looking for Yi Zichen, noticed that he wasn't there, her expression immediately turned somewhat dejected. Xia Kiki also frowned, then shrugged. I don't know either. He left with a really strange uncle just now. The two of them were very mysterious. I don't know what they went to do. Uncle? Su Yan also frowned. Alright, I snuck over. Since Zichen isn't here, then I'll head back first. I'll come find you after the birthday party. Achoo. The man holding on to Yi Zichen's shoulder suddenly sneezed. He rubbed his nose, then let go of Yi Zichen and said with lingering fear, What's wrong? Fortunately, Laozi left a spatial landing point. Otherwise, I would have definitely been caught by that woman. At that moment, Yi Zichen also looked up and looked around in confusion. If there were no surprises, then this was no longer the Nine-Tailed Fox clan's capital. Suddenly, he saw a bunch of monkeys playing in the distance. All sorts of fruit trees could be seen everywhere. More importantly, there seemed to be a few packets of spicy gluten near the fruit platter. Then, Yi Zichen circled around in confusion a few more times. Water Curtain Cave. Oh my god, is this Mount Huagua? Hey, is this Mount Huagua? Yi Zichen blinked in confusion. The man was stunned for a moment, then nodded, yes. I'm telling you, it's a good thing Laozi was smart. Otherwise, both of us would have been caught by Su Luer. That's not the point. The point is, How did this man get me to Mount Huagua? Isn't this the sacred land? What Yi Zichen didn't expect was that just as he was thinking about the great sage, an armored man holding a bowl of instant noodles walked towards them. Who else could it be other than the great sage? OL3, didn't you take your son and OL4 to go on a blind date? You came back so quickly? How could it be that fast? I didn't even do anything yet. The man rolled his eyes in annoyance. I nearly got caught by her when I drugged her just now. I came back to take a breather before going over. So it's like that. Here, big bro's new noodles. Have a taste? With that, the great sage handed the bowl of instant noodles over. At the same time, he also noticed Yi Zichen, who was not far away. Who is this? The man opened his mouth and poured the entire bowl of noodles in. Then he smacked his lips, then put the bowl of instant noodles to the side and raised his eyebrows. He's a little ally we met on the way over. We're going to snatch the 2 Sioux family girls over. I'm going to snatch the older one, he's going to snatch the younger one. Interesting, I, old son, heard that they have a younger brother. How about I, old son, join in the fun as well? Hearing that, the great sage immediately became interested. At that moment, Yi Zichen was beyond speechless water curtain cave of Mount Huagua. This man is the great sage's third brother. Then according to the Baidu encyclopedia that I read in the modern realm, isn't this somewhat black-bellied monkey Yuan Hong the long-armed ape monkey? What made Yi Zichen even more speechless was that the great sage also wanted to join in the fun. Just don't go. You're already someone from the Buddhist family, yet you still want to steal women. Yi Zichen couldn't help but retort. Hearing that, the great sage was stunned for a moment, then blinked. Who are you? You actually dare to lecture I, old son? But it's weird, why does this voice sound so familiar? Yuan Hong, who was Yi Zichen's ally, also couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. He understood his big bro's personality very well. That was a bad temper. Little bro, don't say random things. Otherwise, I won't be able to stop my big bro from bullying you. Yuan Hong couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Yuan Hong couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. However, Yi Zichen merely chuckled. How could I not? Look who I am. Slap. Yi Zichen raised his hand and pulled the cloth off his face. When the great sage saw Yi Zichen. Chapter 506. The bridegroom. The great sage walked over in shock. He never expected Yi Zichen to appear at Mount Huagua. Didn't your third little bro explain it just now? I told him to bring him over. You know him? Yuan Hong was a bit confused by the great sage's words. This ally that he had casually made in the Nine-Tailed Fox clan was actually calling his big brother a brother. He's the Sky Sovereign Nameless I told you about. The great sage pointed at Yi Zichen and raised his eyebrows. Yuan Hong was instantly stunned. Ever since Yi Zichen entered the Heavenly Court's chat group and got to know the great sage, Yuan Hong already had a good impression of this Sky Sovereign. The reason for this good impression was that he was a fanatical fan of Waha as well. He had always wanted to meet that Sky Sovereign, and wondered if he could get a discount when he bought Waha next time if he got on good terms with him. Sky Sovereign, it's actually you. Yuan Hong's face was filled with a smile, then he rubbed his hands with a smile. We're quite fated to actually meet each other at Su Lu Er's place. What's more, your relationship with Big Bro is really good. I have a presumptuous request, but I don't know if I should say it or not. Say it. Can Waha give me a discount? Yu Lao is selling it too expensive. Yi Zichen's expression immediately turned strange. He scratched his nose, then couldn't help but smile helplessly as he looked at Yuan Hong's expectant gaze. All right, I'll tell Yu Lao about it the next time you buy it from him. Then add me on WeChat. After adding him on WeChat, Yi Zichen looked at the surrounding fruit trees with an itch in his heart. The fruits on Mount Huagua were all spiritual fruit. Although they weren't as amazing as peaches of immortality, they had miraculous effects of prolonging one's lifespan and strengthening one's body. If I steal it back, but if the great sage was present, it definitely wouldn't be easy for him to make a move. Back then, Yi Zichen had to send him several bottles of waha for just one peach. If he wanted to pick the fruit this time, then he would have to avoid him. Coincidentally, the great sage seemed to have thought of something after chatting for a bit, then left. Yuan Hong. Yi Zichen called out to Yuan Hong. The latter quickly ran over and raised his eyebrows. What's wrong? What's wrong, Celestial? Your fruits seem pretty good. Yi Zichen's meaning was very clear. Yuan Hong understood what Yi Zichen meant, so he nodded with a smile, then hooked his finger at the fruit tree. All the fruits on the fruit trees flew over. Soon, the ground was covered with fruits from Mount Huagua. Sky Sovereign, hurry up and act. If my big brother comes back and finds out, we're done for. Understood. He took out his phone and scanned it. In just a moment, he had stored all the spiritual fruits into his phone's treasure chest. Yi Zichen couldn't help but smile when he saw the pile of spiritual fruits in the treasure chest. Finally, this trip to Mount Huagua was not in vain. At the same time, the great sage hurried back. However, he didn't notice that the fruit tree was already bare. Aren't you guys going to kidnap the bride? Is it too late to stay here? His sudden appearance startled Yi Zichen, causing his expression to turn a bit unnatural. On the other hand, Yuan Hong's expression did not change, and his heart did not jump. It's about time, big brother. I'll go back with the Celestial. Go, I'll wait for your good news at home. The great sage waved towards them with a smile. The great sage smiled and waved at them. After watching them leave Mount Huagua, he leisurely walked over to a nearby stone bench and sat down, then crooked his finger at the fruit tree. Nothing happened. Hey, that's strange. Yi Zichen leaped towards the fruit tree. When he saw the bare fruit tree, the great sage immediately bared his teeth and cursed. You really are my good bro. You didn't even leave a single one for me, old son. Never mind, if there's none, then I, old son, will go steal it from the heavenly court. Zoom. Yuan Hong and Yi Zichen, who left Mount Huagua, once again appeared in the Nine-Tailed Fox clan's kitchen. Their appearance shocked all of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan members. Phew. Yuan Hong did not panic. He merely raised his hand and blew on it. Bang, bang, bang. All of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan members fell onto the ground like they did the first time they came. It seems like it has already started. We have to hurry. Thank you all for coming all the way to attend my lil sis's birthday party. Su Zhu wore a light purple dress and smiled at the people below. Su Luer and Su Zhu's roles in the Nine-Tailed Fox clan were very clear. Within the clan, Su Luer was in charge of war. If anyone dared to challenge the Nine-Tailed Fox clan's position, then she would personally make them submit with force. As for Su Zhu, she was in charge of diplomacy. She was in charge of the various clans' alliances and any foreign affairs. For example, she was in charge of the birthday party. Lil Sis, at the same time, she waved towards Su Yan. Su Yan, who had been looking for Yi Zichen, walked over. However, even so, her gaze continued to search for Yi Zichen in the crowd. I believe this is the first time many of you have seen the third young lady of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. Let me introduce her, Su Yan. Many of the young geniuses below subconsciously gulp. As expected of someone from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan, her looks. I believe everyone has already heard some news from some small channels. It's just like you said, Lil Sis will be 21 after this birthday. As her older sisters, we're going to find a good marriage for her. As for the method of selection, it's very simple. It's fine as long as Lil Sis likes it. Of course, if you can move me and Lu Erjia, then you'll get bonus points as well. Su Zhu looked at the crowd below with a smile. Su Yan, who stood beside her, was instantly stunned. Sis. Shoo. Su Zhu stealthily put a finger to her lips and stroked her hair. Then she continued, Of course, my little sister isn't the only one I'm marrying this time. Su Lu is also in the running. Wow. Everyone present was dumbfounded, and soon after, an uproar broke out. Su Lu-er's beauty and strength were both the best of the best. Whoever could marry her would definitely become the envy of all living beings in the three realms. But before that, there was another problem. Who would dare to marry her? Back then, Yuan Hong had caused quite a ruckus in order to pursue Su Lu. As one of the bosses of the Endless Beast region, who would dare to fight over his woman? Lil Sis. Su Lu-er, who was sitting on the chair, was instantly unable to sit still. She stood up in shock. Sis, don't be like that. I was just saying it. Who would dare to pursue you aside from Yuan Hong? Let me put it this way. Hee. Su Lu-er, who was wearing a blue chiffon dress, smiled, then nodded. I understand. Actually, I'm just a show to liven things up, right? As soon as she finished speaking, an astonishing chill was released from her body. The cold aura didn't just freeze the bodies of the people below, it also froze their thoughts about Su Lu.